Welcome in, everyone. How's everyone doing? Happy Wednesday. It doesn't feel like a Wednesday, just like last time. My week is like all backwards, so it doesn't feel like a Wednesday, but welcome in, everyone. How you all doing? You gonna be good to stream? I sure hope so. I think I can last 3 hours. My voice is like a little raspy, and there's like 5 tornadoes around my house, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine. I've weathered through worse. But hello, welcome in, Ivan. Hi, Tholazar. Hey, Oda-san. Hi, Red. Thank you so much for the raid, Jolene. Welcome in. I'll do my introduction just in a minute. Thank you so much, Karma Strikes. Thank you so much for becoming a harem member on YouTube. Make sure you join the Discord so you can get your special perks and stuff like that. Big reminder, we're only doing a 3-hour stream tonight because I got work in the morning. And I've been a late bird recently, so I gotta shape up. Heck of a week, eh? Alright, it's Wednesday. Dude, I quote that like weekly. I'm not even kidding. But I've actually been having a pretty good week. It's been a long week so far, but a good one. Hope you all have been doing well. But if you guys are excited, we're gonna be doing another history stream tonight. I got 2 or 3 videos picked out for you guys. We'll probably only get around to one, another Sean Munger vid, but I think you guys will really enjoy it. It's on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. So we'll be looking at that, and kind of like the historical accuracy of it and stuff like that. But before we get into that, we'll probably just hang out and chat for a little bit, check in on everybody's week, and allow people to get in some questions about my job as a curator, or as a historian, if anybody wants to get those in and ask. Let's see what else. I guess, like, we can also do, like, some special announcements. Reminder, no stream tomorrow or Friday. There will be one on Saturday. We'll be back with New Vegas. Sunday, we'll be back with War Thunder. That'll probably be the schedule for the foreseeable future, especially because I've got a bunch of, like, after work stuff I gotta do, so. Do we ask questions in a specific place or just in chat? You can do just in chat. Hey, Oblivious, I'm doing really good, thank you. I was really tired, but, like, I blasted some Rogue Energy, so I'm feeling a little bit better. Can we be history friends? I just want to blab about history at the most random times. Corvus, you are welcome to blab about history whenever you wish. Now, I will say, I do have one stipulation. Um, let's actually like promote historical discussion, okay? I would prefer something I really don't enjoy is when people come into chat and just throw in historical, like, not even like, I mean, I guess they're technically facts, but like it's like history trivia. Like they'll come into stream and like we'll be playing like Fallout New Vegas, for example, and they'll be like, I don't know, like the Treaty of Versailles in like 1918 or whatever screwed over Germany and caused the rise of the Nazis. And it's like, buddy, I'm I'm turning a powder ganger into goo. Can we like if you want to talk about history, can you at least like ask me a question about it, you know? Or like the Tiger tank's frontal armor is like 200 millimeters. It's like, okay, buddy. Okay, dude. All right. Thank you. Very, very great contribution. Like, okay, point. Exactly. And the reason I don't like it is because it's a little armchair historian-ish. It comes across as like, oh, look at the secret knowledge I know. And it's like, all right, dude, like, chill. Never ask a woman their age, a man their salary, a Twitch chatter why they know so much about World War II military history. Honestly, that's just like, it's like any guy in history, like, period, honestly. Look, I'm gonna be real. Guys gotta diversify their historical obsessions. Stop choosing, like, World War II or Rome. Pick something else, bro. Everybody else has that shit picked. Like, it used to be, like, American Civil War, and then all those people, like, got old or died out. And now it's just like, oh, I just want to talk about World War II battles. And it's like, buddy, wait till you hear about, like, the literal, like, 6,000 years of history before 1940. Or 39, I guess. Some people are good enough to learn about, like, 1939. What are your thoughts on early French war tanks? They get a lot of hate, but I heard they were pretty solid. They probably would have been more consistent if the French actually, like, didn't try to actively sabotage one another for military grants. I think that their concepts were effective. But yeah, I feel like the design quality was kind of hampered by that bit. I just enjoy talking about technological advancements we've made during each world war up to now. You see, that's the thing, though, is that, like, I'm totally cool if, like, people want to be like, oh my god, it's incredible how far humanity progressed, like, technologically from, like, 1910 to 1950. I would completely agree with that. It is incredible to talk about. However, whenever that happens, it's like, wow, we went from biplane to jet plane, and it's like, okay, there's like, again, 50 billion other things to talk about. Like, let's maybe talk about the cultural impact that had, or like, maybe like, I don't know, you could do even like, even a fun lens would be like the development of like, how like military development affected like manufacturing for consumer goods in the 50s. But instead, it's always like, gun shoot faster, gun bigger caliber, plane go vroom. Yo! Welcome in, everyone! I think I'm probably gonna fuck up your name, but I think it's Luceroni Othwa. I think I said that right, but welcome in, Raiders! Feel free to correct me if I got that wrong, but welcome in, everyone. Hold on, give me one moment. Hiccup. Welcome in, how you doing? Thank you so much for the raid. My name's Hara Rae Sol. I'm an Egyptian peregrine sun goddess. I do War Thunder variety and history streams. Today is my history stream. I am a museum curator full-time, and I am a published historian. If you guys want to chat or ask me questions about my line of work or anything history related, the day's to do it. And then we will be watching like usually a couple like fun history videos to talk about. Okay, now that I can see your name capitalized, it makes more sense. Yeah, your name wasn't capitalized by Streamlabs, and I was reading that one. So yeah, Luceron Yathwa. Never heard that one before, though. Yeah. Because, like, nothing's capitalized, so all I see is Luceroni. My brother in Christ, can I interest you in a battle of Jutland? Actually, though. So what are your daily tasks as a curator? So daily tasks as a curator involve monitoring the collections room and making sure that it stays within, well, because of where I work right now, what we deem to be acceptable humidity and temperature standards with what we currently work with. The museum industry, advocates for lower on both, especially for metallic items. But we sadly don't have the resources currently to, make the room more temperature and climate controlled, nor do we have the ability to separate metallic and paper items. So currently it's just about kind of like stopping, like hemorrhaging the bleed. Well, not hemorrhaging the bleeding. Slowing the bleeding rather than stopping it entirely. We're currently working on it. So that's one of my tasks, like emptying dehumidifiers, making sure I regulate the AC and HVAC systems, making sure to clean out and check those dehumidifiers to make sure they're not like dirty or covered in dust or their filters are clogged. And then other things sort of like accession items, which I also have been doing a lot of recently, which includes, you know, when you receive like a gift from a benefactor, you have to get like paperwork signed showing that they're signing it over to you either temporarily or permanently. Pretty much looking at the item, bringing it before your board, and having them talk and discuss whether it fits within your MO of your museum. Getting that signed off by the board. And then essentially accessioning the item itself, which is like giving it a category number like you would in a library. Kind of like putting it into a fashion that's most preservable. Usually like of paper products, it's like non-acidic plastic sleeves, or putting them up on shelves, and just kind of getting them organized, and making sure that they're in a good, healthy spot to where like you can kind of restrict or slow their degradation. So it's really fun, honestly. I worked on a bunch of scrapbooks for a local garden club that's been going since the 50s earlier this week, and I've been trying to get all of their stuff together. They've had like fun little scrapbooks from each year, from like 1940 or 50 up until 2018. So yeah, I've gotten all of those in. I got to get their little pamphlets together and stuff too. Have you ever looked into the joint MBT development? I haven't really, Blue Beret, but it is kind of interesting. Hey, Chef, how's it going? Did you get new dehumidifiers? We were considering adding a new one to the collections room, but I was talking to my director earlier today, and we do have the funding to kind of possibly get ourselves an industrial one, which is going to be expensive, but the city pays for it, so we'll be fine. We don't really have, like, budgets. We're kind of given money and just said, make this shit work. So that's what we're doing right now. So yeah, that's what we're getting together. I think we might go with that. We're looking into a bunch of stuff right now. But it would be nice. It means I'd have to empty less buckets. The big issue right now is that because we're in an an older building, you have to also debate with whether like renovations are worth it. Because like you don't want to just drill holes willy-nilly through an historic building, right? Because if you do, well, then you're technically not only making it weaker, but you're ruining the authenticity of it. It's kind of the opposite of preserving the building. So for systems like that, we have to be very careful and balance out like what is worth moving and what isn't. So that's what we're also doing right now. And that's why, you know, installing a whole like dehumidifying HVAC system is a little difficult. There's a lot to weigh. So right now I'm just focusing on getting together like a price list, and a supply list for possibly just sealing up the room better, because it could be just to prevent like insect incursion and humidity and heat coming in through the attic. So, well, third floor. We call it the attic. It's really just the third floor that's empty. So yeah, that's like what I'm focusing on right now. It's a little bit more intensive than I thought, and I won't be doing any of the repairs myself. We have a maintenance team for that. But I gotta get that to them, so, and like, they know what to do, I just gotta get the materials ordered and stuff. Can't you just, like, flex seal all of that? I mean, and that's something, like, that's something I would have said too if I hadn't, like, gotten into this curator position and trained for it, is that, like, you have to be really careful with the materials you use. Like, anything that degrades, you have to make sure it doesn't leave behind harmful chemicals, not only on surfaces, but in the air as well. So, like, for example, we don't use pen ink. We use, like, pencil, like graphite. You can't use anything like rubber, for example. Like, you can't add, like, rubber bands to things because they'll rot. Staples are a no-no. You have to use non-acidic tape. Things like that are extremely important to make sure that they don't, increase the rate of degradation for items. Because, like, that's kind of what a curator's all about. Your items are going to break apart. They just are. That's how it goes. Things are eventually going to crumble away, but it's my job to make sure they last as long as possible. There are a lot of restrictions, yes. And there's a lot of things you have to be careful about. Like, for example, we have bookends, like, those metal, like, library bookends, those cheap ones. And I can't just, like, slap those photo albums that I was accessioning today on top of those. Because the metal not only ionizes in that humid room, which we are still trying to fix, but also it scrapes against the bottom of the books. So what I have to do is I have to get this, like, it's not sticky. It's just like, it's like really fine styrofoam. It's like a really fine foam where, like, things don't slip, and cut it into pieces. And essentially I had to, like, MacGyver, like, with string, these little foam, like, squares up to the sides and bottom of the bookends so that the metal doesn't scratch or touch the books. So that was something I had to do today. That was fun. Like, because the thing is like, my director was like, yeah, when I worked that role, I just kind of, like, shoved them between the books. And I was like, well, that's a pain in the ass. Every time you have to pick up a book, it'll come off with it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna, like, do it with twine. Like, I'm just gonna like, poke holes in it and then, like, rope it to the bookend. So that way, like, if you pick up the bookend or you need to pick up the end book, they don't, like, like, rub off on one another, or it doesn't come out with the binder. So yeah, it worked out. It was really good. That, and also so I didn't have to, like, hold it while trying to get a 40-pound fucking scrapbook shoved between two other fucking scrapbooks. Adapt, improvise, overcome. Actually, dude. So is the current stance that bare hands or gloves are preferred for handling documents? I've heard that latex can do harm. It depends, Red. For example, if you're handling, like, metal objects, you typically want to use cloth. That is the idea. Excuse me. You typically want to use cloth, because, like, like, you're right, like, the rubber on the metal can cause issues, and the oil from your hands can cause issues as well. Especially if it's, like, iron. It's not, like, stainless steel or anything, which it usually is. Everybody used iron, up until, like, 70, 80 years ago. And then, so there's that. For, like, paper documents, ideally you can use, like, latex gloves. That's not really an issue with paper products, but you can also just, like, make sure your hands are clean. Like, I use hand sanitizer. I sanitize my hands, and just, like, every time I get up to, like, go do something else, I sit back down and immediately hand sanitize. Because the alcohol dries your hands out from oils and it cleans them. So thank you for the sub, by the way, Tarma Brad. Welcome back to the harem. Hope you enjoy your stay. I sawed this museum in half. Yeah. Have you ever found any interesting old documents? I believe the most interesting thing we have right now is a newspaper from like the 1840s. So that's pretty neat. What else do I have? There's some other stuff that I've accessioned that's really old. I think the oldest thing so far is like 1910. Something around there. But yeah, we have like an 1840 like newspaper. We have an old like yoke from like the late 1800s. I'm trying to think of what else. There's a lot of stuff. There's like an old rusted out belt buckle from the Civil War era. We have some Civil War stuff. And some Native American stuff. That's pretty cool in the back in the collection, but yeah. What was the headline news? I mean, considering at the time the city only had like 300 people in it, like it's nothing to write home about, honestly. It is really cool though. Like it's surprisingly well held up. Is it weird that I hear the intense care and dedication but in keeping artifacts safe and in great condition? And I'm like, oh yeah, it happens to make sense. She's into collecting TCG stuff. I'm gonna be real with you, Jolene. That is part of the reason I got this job. I'm gonna be completely honest. Because they asked me and they were like, do you have any history in like preserving artifacts? And I was like, job-wise, no, but I do have a collection of some historical items as well as trading cards and other collectibles that I did perform a lot of research on how to like keep them, you know, pristine and stuff like that. And they were like, all right, that's a good one. And I saw, I look, I probably should have done this, but I have access to the files and I went and like looked back at my my assessment after I got hired. And that was like a big one. Actually, it was like a big pitch to the board of like why I was a good fit. I absolutely use content creation skills for my resume. Same thing with this as well, yeah. Anything in the collection with an on loan from the Smithsonian, typically read. Mostly the Smithsonian does not send out artifacts. What they'll do is they'll send out exhibits, which is just mostly like posters with like printed pictures on it. So they'll send out like temporary exhibits. And the idea is that the museum uses their own artifacts or collections to supplement the lack of physical stuff. Because bringing in physical stuff and mailing in physical stuff can be really, really, really perilous through shipping and shit. So, and it's costly. So that just makes it easy. Like, for example, I think one going around right now is on women's suffrage. So for example, like for women's suffrage stuff, we just like look for like old newspapers or old club documents or old photographs that we have on file and use those in conjunction with the exhibit that they provide to us. So, yeah. The big museums will move stuff around, like for full exhibits, but for smaller museums, no. Like, cause like you can't just trust everyone with like thousands of dollars in artifacts, you know. Hey Lorelai, how's it going? What do you bring to the table? Well, pulls out a giant case of PSA 10 cards. Actually, though, literally like opening Pokemon card packs next to my like museum director, and she's like, I knew you were the one when I tried to touch your like $400 card and you slapped my hand because you didn't want to get hand oil on the cardboard. My grandma has her great grandfather's letters from the Civil War. They're super cool. It's crazy to see how stuff that old is still around. It really is. And the thing is that like I found that like a lot of housewives from that period, like the 1800s to like 1940s, you know, before women really had rights, were really big on being the historians themselves. So like while you had the academic historians, which are mostly men, you had the local historians, which are almost always women because they were someone's housewife, that would collect, you know, just simple things like newspapers or old clothing or things like that and stored away, like knickknacks and things like that from like town events and parties. and photographs and stuff like that, because they were the ones that really had the time to do it. You know, and they're also saving important parts of their kids and their communities' lives. So, because like during this time period, when women weren't allowed to have jobs and were treated like second-class citizens, a way that they found empowerment was through essentially being the lifeblood of like small communities. So yeah, you can thank a lot of historical like artifacts and things like that, especially from the Civil War period. You can thank mostly housewives for things like that. Hello, welcome in. Hi, Snowfall. Yeah, I guess you can't just phone them and be like, can I have 2 mummies and a couple canopic jars for an event this Tuesday? Yeah, you really can't. I actually, like, in my museum recently, there was a guy that came in like a week ago, and he was an older gentleman. And like, he like walked in, and we are, by the way, we are definitely not an Egyptology museum. Like, we are not Egyptology. I'm in the middle of the US South. We are not Egyptology. Why would we have anything Egyptian? But he walked in, and ironically enough, he was like, I saw in the paper that you guys have Egyptian stuff. I'd like to take a look at your Egyptian stuff. And I was like, okay, first off, I don't know who the fuck told you that, but no, we don't. We definitely don't. Second off, even if we did, no. I was like, no, I don't know you. And he got really mad at that, and I just had to be like, I'm sorry, dude. I don't know what to tell you. If you want to go see some Native American pottery shards, we got that. I was like, we got some Native American pottery shards and a belt buckle. I was like, sorry to disappoint, my guy, but the Egyptians didn't exactly build a real pyramid in Western Tennessee, my guy. Really, Ivan? Yeah, women in the United States weren't even allowed to have credit cards until like the 1980s, which is ridiculous to me. Because it's like, why would you not want to make more money? You're telling me the pyramid out there is not real? Oh, it's real, all right. It's just not made by Egyptians. It's made by heretics. But yeah, it was really crazy. I think it was because like in one of the news articles, like I think we discussed like what was discussed was like we had like probably some kind of an event. Because we hold like events every now and then, like just little like talks. And I think someone gave like a presentation on like something Egyptology. Like a local like a local historian gave like a small like talk on like one subsection of Egyptology. And he was like, "Oh, they must have cuneiform." Like he actually like came in, I'm pretty sure, looking for cuneiform tablets. Which, like, if you don't know, like cuneiform tablets are literally ancient. And if you see anyone that has a cuneiform tablet that isn't like the Smithsonian, it's likely stolen or fake. So that's like me saying like, yeah, we got a pot of like Irish leprechaun gold on exhibit over here. Also, witchcraft, child and punishment was gone and removed in the 1950s in the UK. Yeah, I don't think really anything happened with witchcraft stuff though, and like past like 1700. Yo, Buckshot, what's up, dude? It's been a while. There's a rare 5,000-year-old tablet. You see, the thing is that there are some people. Okay, so there's like an actual like firm belief. This is not a joke. You can look it up. It might take you a little bit of like searching because it's like that backwater. But there is a significant belief that ancient Egyptians, were the first people to make it to the New World, and that there's multiple areas in the United States that show that they like built a civilization before the Native Americans like either turned into them or wiped them out. That's not a joke. I'm not kidding. There are people that legitimately believe that. Um, and like people like legitimately believe that there was like an ancient civilization that's like Egyptian. There was similarly, it was called the Mississippian River cultures, But they're not building like, you know, pyramids of sandstone. They're building earth mounds, like giant earth mounds. So yeah, it's really sad. And there's like a weird like tie-in to like Christianity to it too. I can't quite remember. Hold on. Let me see. What is this? Oh, yeah, and part of it is like all centered because traces of cocoa and nicotine have been found in Egyptian mummies. Which, like, if you don't know, like, cocoa and nicotine are like things only found in like the New World. Well, not purely the New World, but you get what I mean. Like, that's what they believe, is that like it's only like a New World crop. So they think that that's like evidence that like the Egyptians at least had like connections with the New World. There was something. There was like a website I found like way on back and I can't find it anymore. It was like literally some people that were talking about it. Oh man, let me see. It's been so long since I've looked for it. Oh well. But yeah, it was literally like a map of like my state in like the US South, and it was like, here's secret Egyptian like temple locations. Wait, really? Not really, no. Well, like, yes, they found out like cocoa and tobacco traces, but that isn't by no means evidence that the Egyptians found the New World. Hey, Reggie, I am. How you doing? Congrats, Buck. Nice. Guy wrapped in cloth and some sand. Meanwhile, Georgia mummy, dude in overalls and plaid shirt in the marsh. Yeah, he's got like a Bucky's hat on, and like a jar of boiled peanuts were like buried with him, along with like someone that was almost definitely his sister. Okay, wait, that still applies to ancient Egypt. Don't worry about it. We have the Heavener rune stones just over the border in Oklahoma. Really? I don't think I've heard of those before. Doing well, just bored. I feel you. Well, I'm here to entertain you, dork. Welcome in. Have fun. Cue the streamers. And I don't mean like Twitch streamers. I mean like party streamers. Can of dip and a duck call instead of a scarab in jars. Actually, though. He's buried with like a raccoon fur hat. And like a fucking like instead of like a Nile barge, it's like a fucking like shitty rusted out pontoon boat. Yeah, something the Vikings came all the way up the Arkansas, but the stones just appeared one day, so everyone gets it's not real, but it's a decent tourist draw. Yeah, that sounds about right. That reminds me of that time when like people like one guy faked finding giant's bones in like upstate New York, and he admitted that he faked it, and yet for some reason people still fell for it and fall for it to this day and believe that there's like giant like evidence of giants found in the United States. Hey Jen. But yeah, like it was like an atheist that did it as a prank in like the 50s or 60s. Because he like acted like he was Christian and he found them and he was like, look, giant bones, it's evidence of Nephilim is in the Bible or whatever it's fucking called, like the city of giants or whatever the fuck it was called. And all the like the, you know, like the weird like Pentecostalists like Dancing with Snake people were like, whoa, holy shit, giants are real, God's amazing. And then it was like, actually, I completely fucking lied and you're all idiots. These are just animal bones. And people were like, oh. Okay, anyway, there were giants. They were real. And like, it was like, oh my fucking God. It's like actually like, oh my God. God, the freaking Nephilim claims are freaking crazy. They really are, dude. Mormon activities, honestly, Mormons aren't great, but I would argue Pentecostalists are 50 billion times worse. Like, those are the kind of people that are like, oh, you danced with, like, a cute girl at the age of 13 and, like, doing, like, a line dance. You're going to hell forever, you fucking whore. Prank gone wrong, actually, though. Hey, Hara, guess what? What, 72nd, what's up? Hey, Richard, how's it going? If there's anything I learned in history, you're a national treasure. Oh, thank you. Hopefully Nick Cage doesn't come try to steal me. I don't know if I'd want to be abducted by Nick Cage. Like, all I'm going to say is if I had to be abducted by one, like, non-problematic Hollywood actor, I think the last one I'd want is to be Nick Cage. Just saying. Nothing personal against Nick Cage. He just seems like he could go off the wire at any moment. Nice, 72nd. Nick has problems? No, I said non-problematic.
Spring clean.
Brendan, ow. Like, as in, like, someone that's, like, not known for being a creep, a weirdo, or a drug addict. Like that one woman standing over an active mine vent yelling about hearing the falling angels screaming as they rattle their giant chains. What the fuck? She gets like black lung and is like laying in bed like dying from black lung. It's a sign. Satan's trying to keep me from getting the word out. It's the black lung.
For $20.
Yeah, I could. So what? Geeked versus locked in. Actually, though. You gotta be abducted by John Candy or Robin Williams. I hope I'm not abducted by Robin Williams, because Robin Williams is dead, and that'd be horrifying. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, if the corpse of Robin Williams shows up to my house to abduct me, I'm actually asking for Nick Cage. Glory, what a hell of a way to die, and it's just black lung. Actually, though. I saw something earlier today, and it was like a video. I don't think it was in the US. I think it was in like South America or something. But it's like workers in a coal mine, and they're like literally like using like an auto pick. Or I guess it's just like a jack. It's like a small jackhammer to like mine out coal ore, and they're like shirtless and have like no masks on in this coal mine. And somebody in the comments was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're not wearing masks. Where are their masks? And it was like, bro, I can guarantee you right now, that job is so dog shit that they don't give a fuck about black lung right now. Like, their lives are so ass, like, I can guarantee they don't give a shit about black lung or hitting, like, hitting a gas pocket. Like, Ocean, now we mine like real men. Just to make you watch Mrs. Doubtfire. Is it weird for me to say I didn't enjoy Mrs. Doubtfire? I did not care for it. I like Robin Williams a lot. I did not care for Doubtfire. As a child, I yearned for the mines. All right, Tennessee Ernie Ford, chill out, buddy. Gonk over here trying to hit that 16-ton daily quota. Structural supports are optional. Needed, honestly. But yeah, that was wild to me, as I was like, look, I can guarantee their lives are crummy enough where they don't care. Half of them, even with the masks, probably aren't living past 40, sadly, due to like alcoholism or just like incredible amounts of poverty. But yeah, to switch gears a little bit, I got wrecked at Pokemon, so that was fun. I was at Pokemon yesterday. I think I went 1-3. So I reinvented the entire deck again, and hopefully it works out a little bit better. It looks like it's been a little bit more consistent. I was trying to do this, like, fancy thing with Glaceon EX, where, like, I run, like, the Noctowl engine. But there was just too much going on with it, and I ended up just attacking more with Terapagos and Blood Moon Ursaluna than even the fucking Glaceon. So I was like, okay, this isn't working out. So what if I just said fuck it and just went pure like Squawkabilly, like Professor's research engine, and just tried to eat through my entire deck in like 3 turns. And it's been working out, surprisingly. It's surprisingly been working out. Who would have known that like turboing through your entire deck and then glass trumpeting, super rotting, or night stretchering everything back into your hand is the way to do it. Will Hara play the World War I event in War Thunder? If it's still going on Saturday, I think I will. I'm not gonna go out of my way to do it today. But yeah, I got slaughtered. I got absolutely slaughtered. It was rough. The only win I got was because I donked a guy. Like, if you guys don't know what a donk is, it's like, well, they only have 1 Pokemon out, and you can attack on your second turn, so you just attack and wipe out that 1 Pokemon, and you essentially just win the game. The game's over because they have no more Pokemon. So. But yeah, I actually haven't gotten to take a look at anything for the War Thunder events. Anybody like tried them out yet? Anybody have any opinions on them? I saw the first person shooter thing, and that thing looked crazy. It kind of reminded me of Tarkov a little bit. I don't think it's real. I would be so surprised if it's real because like I don't know how they would even begin to implement that without it being like completely fucked. It's a fun event, but the A7V right is OP, so it's not too fun. I gotcha. First person shooter. Yeah, they were talking about adding infantry. They came out with like a trailer the day before April Fool's Day. And like it adds infantry to where you can be infantry and like shoot at tanks with like RPGs and shit. So if they actually do it right, it can make the game incredible. But they're gonna need to like triple map sizes for that for 1. And for 2, like, I don't know how that's gonna work without it being, like, pure chaos, honestly. Yeah, yeah, that's what I think, too. I think it's just gonna be a huge test for either Enlisted or a modern version of Enlisted. Yeah, I agree, Red. I think it's a future game. I don't think it's actually coming to War Thunder. Just saw NPC mobs in World War I mode. I'd be fine with NPC mobs, too. Like, I think that'd be interesting as well. Like, if you have to destroy, like, a certain amount of just straight up, like, NPC infantry. I think that'd be very interesting. Or, like, they're constantly respawning, and, like, both teams have to knock each other out while also, like, knocking out infantry to, like, increase the push for their, like, NPCs or something like that. I don't know. There's a lot that they could do with it. They're not going to do a whole lot with it, but there's a lot they could do with it. War Thunder officially can challenge Battlefield. I'm not gonna lie, if War Thunder like gives even half of an effort, they'll blow Battlefield out of the water right now. I haven't shot at them, so I don't know if you get points for it. Yeah. Imagine blasting some guy with a 120 millimeter dart. Imagine blasting a squad of people with a fucking like 120 millimeter HE round from the fucking FV 4000. Or the Vidar. Like, imagine just slamming a high explosive shell into a squad of 15 men moving out an open field and just watching all of them literally evaporate. You only get SL for shooting MG posts. That's still kind of nice. Like, if they had tactical bunkers that you need to take out, for example, like one team has to defend bunkers, that would be way more interesting. I actually lost a vehicle to the infantry today. They throw grenades. Oh, hell yeah, that's sick. See, like, that's interesting. I hope that they do add stuff like that in the game. That's really interesting. 182 millimeters would be overkill to an extreme. You say overkill. I say humane. It made things interesting. Exactly. Like, they need to They need to move. Look, it's time for War Thunder to move away from the objective of just kill other people. There needs to be actual strategy to the game now. Things that prevent people from just hiding in corners with a fucking, T-80. Or, blitzing around a flank at 1,000,000 miles per hour in a Fox and shooting people in the ass. There needs to be more to the game than that. It's time to change it away from essentially a tank first-person shooter. Or I guess third-person shooter. Also, the map showing infantry in that video looks like Chernobyl. Interesting. I don't know. I'd also like if they increase map size by vast amounts, and provide more points for kills. I think that'd be really interesting if you can actually maps become big enough to where you can use I don't know, a Vidar and sling artillery from the edges of the map at targets that your teammates point out and provide coordinates for. I think that'd be way more interesting than big block tank hide behind sand dune and overpressure. Hey Thomas, it's going well. Hey Jazzy. Maybe they should have infantry capture points. You have to escort them. Exactly, Payne. People would complain so much if you could do that. I really don't see how it'd be that busted. Considering how long it takes for artillery to actually hit in real life, as long as you aren't fucking sitting still in your tank, you should not die. It's not like World of Tanks where you see them and you can hit them on the move or some shit. It's like the drone gives you a coordinate and you fire, and then there's a 6-second delay. So you have to kill them to decap. That is a great idea to the game. That's a great addition. And heat rounds should do more damage to infantry, way more damage. AP rounds should do absolutely nothing to them. It should be good for bunkers and nothing else. Heat should be the only thing that can pretty much kill infantry. And that way it actually forces people to carry some fucking heat rounds. They complain about getting shot across the map by anything. I mean, I don't know. Helicopters and jets do that already, and people seem to accept it as long as they're not as long as their head's not concave. They seem to not complain about it. Do I find do I find Ka-50s to be a little busted? Yes. I will complain about Ka-50s. But that is one helicopter to complain about. I don't really complain about things like Alouettes or G-Lynxes or whatever they're called, because I can pull out a fucking Spitfire from 3.0 and shoot it down for 200 points. So yeah, exactly. Most people just suck it up. The CAS is pretty OP for Russia and the United States in some instances. People do just suck it up. I do think that they'd be willing to suck it up for artillery that only hits you if they're really fucking good at it. Hey, GBP, welcome in. How's it going? Just put a tungsten penetrator through a single infantryman at the time because you refuse to use HE. 120 millimeter uranium depleted dart going right through a man's chest cavity, turning him it's essentially world's saddest man versus world's largest hole puncher. Does War Thunder do cross-platform? They do, yes. You can do console or PC, yeah. I love big maps. Every time I get one of the huge sand maps with Sinai, I always use ever complaining despite the MBTs being more fun at long distances. I'll be honest, the issue with big maps, with why I hate them, is because they're empty. There's no cover, there's no space. And if there is, and because there isn't, you have issues where you have to go out and capture these points in the middle of these open fields and it gets you killed. That is not a way to play the game. If you change the objective to being actually different and not requiring people to drive out into an open field to accomplish winning the game, then it wouldn't be as frustrating. Also, thank you for the follow, Not Really Clara. Welcome into the cult. How you doing? Is my PC's doo-doo? I will admit, if you get it for console, make sure you get it on Xbox because the PS Store screws you over. Someone, like, if someone could double check on that, that'd be great. So, like, you can transfer your account from PlayStation to PC just like you can from Xbox. But I know for a fact that if you use a PlayStation account, it'll make you use the PlayStation Store, which is trash. You will never get any of the sales or anything. It's garbage. If I'm not mistaken, for Xbox, if you use the Xbox one, it counts as a Microsoft account, and you get to keep like using the Gaijin store for stuff. Did they really gonk? Wow, that's really sad. Silk Song for 2025 was confirmed. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't play the first one, but I'm happy that people are really excited about it. I mean, you can play on PlayStation, Strider. I'm just saying, like, don't get your hopes up. And be ready to, like start over again on PC. I will say, though, that game is pretty, like, non-graphics intensive, so as long as you don't have, like, a 2002, like, toaster, or you aren't playing on, like, a smart TV, you should be able to play it on lowest settings. Hey, Reaper, how's it going? We too lazy to clone your account for PC. I think the real issue is that they were just having a fuck ton of problems with Sony because Sony was being a bitch about it. Who's ready for $80 Nintendo games? Wasn't planning on getting a Switch 2 anyways. $80 Nintendo games, buddy, with what just passed today, not to get political, but what just passed today, everything that's related to video games just increased in price by at least 20%. So, if you're gonna buy anything, buy it fucking now. If you've been waiting to buy a graphics card or a CPU or RAM, buy it fucking now, because this time next year, it will be double the price. The only thing that might not, like, explode in value are, like, video games, because they're digital products, and I think that they're, like, they can dodge tariff, because it's not a physical product being imported. I still have that crappy PC you reviewed, remember? I mean, it's possible. Look, Strider, if I can play that thing on a PlayStation, like PlayStation 4, I think you can play it on that. A PlayStation 4 that had storage and lag issues. I mean, not in the US, so I'm safe. True, yours won't go up as high, but anything that you guys buy from the US is going to go up in price. Am I supposed to get my own PC now? Probably buy second-handed parts off eBay from inside the US. That's probably the only way you're gonna get things that aren't, like, astronomical. There you go, GBB. I find that I do better in my games, too, when I take a break. Gotta use that 100% discount. I call that my Buc-ee's and McDonald's gold card. Even though my pistol's silver. Want to save money for real? Steal one? If you can successfully steal a $500 graphics card out of Best Buy and get away with it, I will not only applaud you, I will ask you to do it again for me. Because that shit's impossible. Me buy from the US, I don't have money to spend, so I'm safe either way. Redder, I don't think you understand. Redder, you're not thinking very much, buddy. Your country, whatever country you live in, undoubtedly purchases U.S. exports. That could be anything from, like, wheat to, like, crude oil. And that price is gonna get stuck onto you because your government is gonna have to pay the U.S. government more to export things to them, so they're gonna make the prices go up for everybody. So, like, while it's not going to go up, like, probably 50% like it is for people in the United States, it's still going to go up a little bit. The Glock? The Glicky? Call your American Express Platinum card then, but it's not Platinum. My credit score is shit. Look, I'll say one thing, like, credit scores are immortal. They followed me from ancient Egypt. I went to debt to build this temple behind me and never paid it off. And I'm fucked for literally eternity. So I am perpetually in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. So if anyone would like to give this cute bird their credit card, I will happily take it. Negative 20,000 credit score. I achieved the never before seen 110 credit score. I am the only person in the living world that has a double-digit credit score. I'm just kidding. Not actually, though. I actually don't know what my credit score is. I probably don't have one because, like, I haven't used enough stuff yet. I gotta open a credit card. I'm gonna become a real adult and open a credit card. There's like 3 things you have to do, in my opinion, to become an adult, right? To, like, signify becoming an adult. The first one is opening up a credit card, right? You gotta have a credit card to be considered an adult. That's just how it is. The second thing is, like, what would be a second thing? There's definitely 3 things, but the second thing is, like, I don't even know. Oh, yeah, having to individually do your taxes. There's the second one. And the third one is shitting your pants at least once. So, to officially receive your I'm an adult card, you have to shit your pants at least once, do your taxes on your own, and open up a credit card. So, if any 17-year-olds are in the chat, which you're not, you shouldn't be, not allowed, do your taxes, open up a credit card right now, because you can legally do that, and then just shit your pants. After in the bank, as soon as they hand you that credit card, just immediately shit your pants. Right there in the lobby. Bam! Adult card. They hand it to you right there. There'll be a government agent waiting outside to hand it to you. It's pretty crazy. Then you can start drinking. And driving. That's what I do. Bad plan, great plan. Shut up. Hey Caesar, how's it going? What I missed the last few months? So we re-debuted a new upgraded base model. I hope you like it, Caesar. We got some new fun things like a spell book to curse you guys with. Me still hiccuping. Excited emotes. And a lot more, so those are things that are new. We got some new redeems, like a fun one that's called Tic-Tac-Toe that a lot of people haven't really used lately because it's expensive. That's on purpose. And what else? We had some history guests. Started a new Fallout New Vegas playthrough on Saturdays. So yeah, but it's great seeing you, Caesar. I hope you've been doing well, friend. Oh, I also started a job as a curator, so I'm officially a museum curator. I've got a full-time gig. I walked my leotard bird feather covered ass right into that museum, and I said, and they asked, what experience do you have with working at a museum? And I responded with, I have experience being on display at a museum. And they were like, all right, good enough.
Well, let me guess.
Brendan! Ow! So yeah, that's how I got the job. Speaking of jobs, I start my job on Monday. Let's go! Congratulations again, by the way. I'm very happy for you, Otisana. Hope it's a good fit. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you get paid well. Hope you make that bread, that moolah, that cheddar, that money. And then spend it on me. I'm just kidding. The chair still got it. The chair always got it, dude. Brendan don't miss. Except for when he does. Me with 59K, is it worth it? If you win, it is. Did you get Twitch partnership yet? I did! Yeah, we got Twitch partnership and tier 3 War Thunder partnership. Sometime soon sometime in the future, I'll be submitting a decal for War Thunder, and hopefully that gets greenlit. We've also got a new Documakra coming out sometime soon. I'm waiting to get the samples in so I can check it out. So yeah, with the new design and stuff. Here, I'll show it off. I know you're new, but I like having you around and you haven't been in a bit. You're a dedicated worshiper. So yeah, this is the whole new design and everything. It's really pretty, isn't it? I think it's very cute. As much as I love the Sukeban outfit, I think I still love the base outfit the most. It's definitely my favorite. I definitely feel like I can channel my inner cutie through this. So yeah. Plus, it's got the dogs out, which I know chat likes, so. Just noticed you're like the one VTuber I follow that doesn't have all 3 emotes facing the same direction. What do you mean all 3? Oh, what do you mean all their emotes? Oh, you mean like the Twitch emotes, Joe? probably because I use a bunch of different artists. I've been meaning to like consolidate that. I've also got a badge saying your first YouTube membership. You are, which I'm very grateful for. I don't know if you play War Thunder Caesar, and I don't know if you were here for it. But if you are a YouTube member or a Twitch subscriber, and you're in the Discord, you can go to the Discord and there's a free download pack for like radar warning systems for top tier jets in War Thunder, and it's me, it's my voice. So now like when people tell you to like edit your angle of attack instead of bitching Betty, it's me. And also whenever there's a missile launched at you, it makes the McDonald's noise, like the beepers that happen when they like are late on an order. It's really funny. Hara, why? Why not? If I started my PMC group, anyone interested to hop in, I'm good, but if you do, you better wear patches with me on it. Or like put photos of me in your helmet. Big reminder, chatters, when World War III breaks out, you better put me in your helmet or I'll find you. I will get you before I will irradiate, I will liquefy, I will, hold on. Let me gather my thoughts. Let me gather my thoughts for this threat. If you don't have a picture of me in your World War III helmet, I will literally liquefy you through the amount of radiation I will pass through your stupid mortal body. Just letting you know that. Fair warning, I warned you. So when World War III happens, you better not be sitting there going, oh my god, I hope we don't nuke each other. You better go, oh my god, I better get a fucking picture of Hara quick. Damn right. Damn right. Would putting you in a pocket watch count? I'll take it. Also, like one of those heart necklaces, I'll take one of those too. I will make you look like a centaur from New Vegas. Just gotta find my Velcro tape to put on the back. That is a good idea. I think Blue did it and it looks really good. Okay, the tornado siren's going off. Pog. Big wind. It's windy. I need to put a Hara graphic on my USP. That would be sick. Buy my like foil stickers and slap them on the side of your like real life gun like it's a CS:GO gun. Yeah, sure, Caesar. Stay safe, damn it. I'll be fine. Local 5,000-year-old bird goddess dies in tornado from sarcophagi landing on her through 3 floors. More at 8. Do what they did with the 1911, get a clear grip and then put a picture under it? Exactly. On the GBU 28 in the basement? Yeah. Figure out a joke involving Hara historical account and Brat era and I can't figure it out. You'll get to it. You'll figure it out. Okay, so we're an hour in. I'm not gonna lie. I got a fucking piss. Like, real fucking bad. I had a lot of liquids before stream. So, I'm gonna run a quick 3-minute ad while I go to the bathroom. That way you guys don't get nasty pre-rolls. When we come back, we're gonna chat for like a little bit longer, then we'll get started on that Sean Munger video. Okay, everybody? So I'll be right back, friends. I'm gonna go fry some bacon. Yeah. By the way, I would love to say I love getting messages. I love being at work with having like, with my day almost being over, like having very little time left at work, and then getting a DM from Yari at like 4 p.m. in the afternoon when I get off at 5, and she's like, "Good morning," and I'm just like, "Yeah, good morning." I'm like, "Good morning." Me like 5 scrapbooks deep, like exhausted. Good morning. Actually, though, me at 4:59 p.m. about to walk out the door. Yari kicking the door in. Good morning, crusty crew. Would it be even funnier if I can find a way to change the red dot of my optic to just Hara giving the finger as a reticle? That would be neat. I would accept the Wojak point too. I would accept that. The guy wearing like my hair or something, I'd take it. Just be glad it's not a breaching charge. Yeah, I guess. I watched a video recently of people playing Arma, by the way. And I'm not gonna lie, the funniest thing I think I've ever seen is people dying to the back blast of an RPG. I don't know, there's just something like special about it that's really fucking funny. Like I don't know what it is. Like if it was in real life, it probably wouldn't be as funny. Probably wouldn't be as funny to me, but just the idea of being like, all right, you're good to go, and then just like them clicking the trigger for the RPG, and like a giant blast of like pure like burning energy just sears a hole through their fucking forehead. That is why you're supposed to say back blast, clear, and confirm. I say the same thing when I nut on your mom's back. All right, maybe that one was a little too far. I apologize for that one. That one was maybe a little too crass. That one might have been a little too crass. Yeah, when I get done with Yari, I'm like, oh, back blast clear. I'm gonna click your RPG button. I will blow up in your face. It'd be a funny mod for a bomb skin saying Hara says you're banned. Yeah, it would be. I think the one for like the air stuff, I just say skill gapped. So much to my dismay, the new Pokemon set, the Team Rocket set called Destined Rivals, came out at like 2 p.m. today while I was out eating lunch. And I missed it by like 10 minutes. So that means I got nothing. Which feels horrible. Because I really want to get a lot of that set. So, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, collecting Pokemon right now is pretty horrid. It's not great. Do they have the fringe Pokemon like Chunk? I don't know. Oh, you've been doing YouTube and VTubing? Hey, Paradox. I've been going for about, oh, man. I probably started like 2.5 years ago, but as for doing it seriously, it's probably like a year and a half to like something like that. You're an uncle now? Congratulations! Nice. Now you get to be the cool uncle. The pre-orders went live a few days ago and people went rabid. No, the pre-orders went live today. It was today at like 2 o'clock for the ETBs and stuff. Cool is stretching it. Oh, don't beat yourself up so much, dude. You're cool to me. Hey Zen, welcome in. How's it going, dude? But yeah, we're probably gonna. I have a Sean Munger video prepared for today. We'll probably be starting it here in a minute. But I think it's really interesting. He kind of just looks at Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade, and of course he loves the movie. But he's like he gets nitpick historical with it, and I like it. Because it provides a lot of context to the film and like maybe where things came from and like why they aren't historical, but why it still makes the movie interesting and stuff like that. Still, I feel for you. Yeah, I know that Journey Together itself released on Friday. The newest set actually released, not pre-ordered, but released on Friday. Hey Bunky, how you doing, dude? It's me, Bird. But yeah, getting like anything Pokemon right now fucking sucks. With live streaming and VTubing, did you have a fairly large audience when you first started? No. When I started Twitch streaming, I'd stream like once every 3 months, and I had like maybe like 4 or 5 viewers. I don't really care about numbers that much anymore now that I've hit partner. I'm just kind of enjoying my community and trying to build my community now. But I went from like 3 or 4 or 5 viewers 2 years ago to like 80, 90 average. If I actually play War Thunder and do it consistently as like a full-time gig, I could probably average like 90 to 100. If that's all I do. So yeah, that took me about 2 years to build up. But if I'm being completely honest, playing War Thunder, just War Thunder's boring as shit. So that's not happening. I'm moving out to variety stuff because I have more fun with it, and I feel like I'm much funnier and more enjoyable when we do fun stuff like this. Plus, I get to share my passions like trading cards and history and mechs and things like that, not just War Thunder. Which War Thunder is a big passion, and we will continue to play it because I do still enjoy the game, but I don't live War Thunder, so. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it, Reiji. I love having you. Like, view, and sub to build up. And I'm gonna be honest, like, content creation's rough, man. I'm extremely fortunate and extremely lucky to have all of you. Seriously, I never expected to get nearly as big as I have, and I'm very appreciative of it. Most people aren't that lucky. I'm gonna be honest. Most people that do content creation, not even VTubing, just content creation in period, especially on Twitch, might not average more than 10 people, even at their height. It's cutthroat. It's a lot of work. It's hard. And sometimes, like, it just doesn't work out. Like, a lot of the times, it just doesn't work out. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm, like, some content creation god, because that's just not how content creation works. Sometimes people with the best content get none of the views. That's just how it is. Kind of think of, like, McDonald's, right? The best burger in the world is probably from some mom and pop shop out in some rural area that sees like 10 customers a day. There's a reason McDonald's is massive and the mom and pop shop isn't, despite it being much higher quality. You know what I mean? Because that's something I've seen with like big creators even. Like I watch a little bit of General Sam. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's like a YouTube comedian and like he got popular off Tarkov and stuff. And like he has a podcast with his friends called Forehead Fables. And literally him and his friends were talking about how ridiculous it was, how popular General Sam and they were. He was like, bro, I'm a fucking idiot that like got lucky making dumb cringe ass jokes over Tarkov videos. Like, I've seen people on Twitch that are doing some of the most crazy interactive shit you've ever seen in your life get like 15 viewers average. And I'm over here pulling like 3,000 being a dipshit. He's like, it makes no fucking sense. I'm very fucking lucky, but like, it makes no fucking sense. And he's right, honestly. Followings and content creation, who gets popular, who doesn't, most of the time doesn't make sense. It's all based on like money or people you know for the most part. And sometimes just being fortunate. So That's something I want to be very upfront about with content creation as a content creator is like, don't even assume that you're gonna do well. Don't even assume you're gonna do bad. Assume that 6 months from now you're still gonna have 3 viewers. That's just something you gotta deal with. If you don't think you can do that, it might not be for you because it's just that rough out here. But I've been doing it for about a year or so with live streaming. Yeah, I get maybe 1 or 2 views per stream, and I get that. I'm not in the dumps about anything about it. When I started, but at first that's just wondering is all. No, it's totally good. And like I'm saying, like perseverance, streaming at the same time, same times, having good branding and having a good personality, and knowing who your viewers are some of the best things you can do. The only things that are better than that, stop touching it, is literally just money and connections. The same thing as it is with every other industry and every other business. It's just knowing people, being friends with people. You'll see VTubers blow up that have the personality of fucking wet cardboard, wet pissed on cardboard, that have like average like 5,000 viewers because they're friends with the biggest names in VTubing. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. Prime example being the Jake Paul folks, you know? Orbiters around Jake Paul are big because they're friends with Jake Paul, not because they're interesting, cool, nice, funny, or any of those things in any combination, you know? Just how it is. You want to sell me your content creation success secrets for the low price of $99.99 USD? Dude, I hate that shit. When people are like, I can like manage your content and teach you how to become famous. No, they can't. Literally nobody can. They might make it a little bit better for you. Like they might take you from like 3 average viewers to like 6 or 7 average, or maybe even 10. But they're not going to get you to like 50. They're not going to get you to 75. They're not going to get you 100. Even if you do exactly what they say for a year straight, it's not going to happen. That's just how it is. You might as well like you might as well take like 15 dice in your hands, throw them all at a wall and try and guess each one. Like you might as well. It is that random. But yeah, Paradox, you have the right mindset. I'm just saying, like, nobody should be making this their full-time gig unless they blow up. Just straight up. Don't do it. It's not worth it at all. And the second thing is like, just do it for fun. Don't worry about the numbers. If you worry about the numbers, you'll only make yourself upset. Just try to enjoy it as much as you can. But thank you for the raid, Yuri. I hope your stream was good. Welcome in. Hi, everyone. My name's Hara Rae Sol. I'm an Egyptian Peregrine sun goddess. I do War Thunder variety and history streams. But thank you, Yuri. What were you doing? Was it good? Was it a good stream? I hope it was good. It took me like 2 years to break from 3 viewer jail. So if you're starting this this journey, try to be very patient. Yeah, it takes a while. Now in the post game of it, nice. What class are you playing? It's been a while since I played Final Fantasy 14. I'd be around $30 an hour. Sheesh, you're making way more than I am, dude. But yeah, that's my like thing for everybody is like, you should never quit your job to do content creation. Like, unless you're working at like McDonald's or like retail making like $12 an hour, you should never be quitting your job to do content creation, literally ever. It's such a bad idea. I don't care if you average 200 viewers, don't fucking do it. It's not worth it. You need to be like 500-600 average viewers to quit your full-time job to be able to like not only support yourself, but give yourself enough money and like connections to be able to translate it after you quit streaming. No, it's all good. Enjoy your dinner, Yuri. Thank you again. White mages are fun. Yeah, and the taxes are killer too. Oh my god, I gotta do those next weekend. They're gonna butcher me. It's just not worth it. Like, the worst part is trying to explain, like, why you have a 10-year, like, job gap in your resume, and if the reason you give them is literally like, I was a Twitch streamer, they're gonna be like, get the fuck out. You know what I mean? All that tells to most people in the current job market is like, unless you're applying to things that are like content creation or video editing, or unless you're able to market it like that, most jobs, especially most normal like sales jobs, are look at that and go, okay, so you have 10 years of doing nothing, is what I'm hearing. And they're gonna judge you for that, sadly. Because that's what I got. One of the first jobs I applied to after I became unemployed pretty much did that. They were like, why is there a gap in your job resume? And I'm like, I have a side business where I do media creation full time. And they looked at me like I was a fucking idiot and told me pretty much to get out. So, yeah. From streaming, I will not quit my job. Yeah, I think 50-60 is about like where you need to like, when you consider it. If you want to make money off of VTubing, use it as a supplementary income, like making money off of a hobby. Don't make it your job. Yeah, it sounds about right, Oda-san. Interesting paradox. VTubing is a side gig, and it will always will be. I even said that when I was unemployed. I was like, look, I love this. I love all of you. I cannot let this be my career. I spent like $30,000 to go to college and get a very expensive piece of paper. Granted, the state paid for most of it, but I did do it. And I'd rather prefer 6 years of my life to not be an absolute waste. So, yeah. Any tips or tricks to get more organs to donate to you? I would watch a lot of serial killer documentaries and just take a lot of notes. There you go. Got me a nice candy bar with that? Yeah, I get the mood, dude. I get the mood. As everyone here in chat knows, pretty much everything I make from stream goes back into stream, so I'm about to get bent over by taxes for sure. I'm sure I'm gonna get like a $3,000 check from the IRS and have to pull that out of my savings. So that'll be fun. Squirrels are known for their fast organ growth. Really now? I had no clue about that. All I know about squirrels down here is that like really like people that live like way out in the sticks turn them into like stew meat. Which like, I don't know, man. I just don't think I could eat squirrel. Call me high society, call me prissy, whatever you want. I already feel bad enough eating chicken with skin on it. I hate looking at like the pores. I'm like, ugh. This is a creature. I feel bad about it. It's almost bad enough to make me go vegan. I like to be like 3 steps away from whatever I'm eating. So like ground beef, like chicken tenders, pepperoni. I like when my meat looks nothing like the creature it was killed for. A morgue? Yeah, there you go. Estimated payments during the year can kind of lessen that bill, and underpayment penalties if you get those. Yeah. Hi, Koi! I first met you at CarrierCon. You're the first VTuber I'm aware of that likes history. In many places, history is not respected. I totally feel that, Koi. But thank you for coming and stopping by. I'm so glad you came to hang out. I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great time at the con. I didn't get to hear a whole lot about it, sadly. I heard it was a really fun time from what I did see, though. It did look really neat. I wish I could have gone. Hopefully I can next year. Rescued some baby rabbits, speaking of squirrels. Nice. The con was fun and overwhelming. I totally get that, but I'm glad you had fun. Hara, does your little hair antenna pick up radio signal? No, actually, it's like Dish TV. I think I get ESPN on this bad boy. Hold on. Hold on. Give me a moment. Okay, hold on. Okay, check the TV. I think I got it. I gotta like lean at like a 45-degree angle and like widen my eyes and tail feathers a whole lot to make it sure it sticks straight up. Okay, signal should be good as long as I stay exactly like this for the next 6 hours. All right, I fucked it up. I blinked. You got the History Channel on that? No, that shit comes for free. Let's be honest, nobody watches that. See you, Paradoxed. Sleep well, dude. Hope to see you back on Saturday for New Vegas. You got the World Championship of Beer Pong. Oh, so ESPN the Ocho. I absolutely, okay, so I have to ask, was ESPN the Ocho a thing before dodgeball? I've got to know. Like, I'm actually curious about that because, like, I feel like, yeah, I didn't think so. I'm pretty sure dodgeball came out with ESPN the Ocho, and then ESPN was like, all right, that's actually a great fucking idea. Let's put bowling, ping pong, beer darts, what else? Water polo, and more on it. The Ocho started in 2018. That's crazy. Is there even like an ESPN like 2 through 7? I think there is actually an ESPN 2. Is there a 3 through 7? That's so good. Ancient alien theorists suggest that bad dragon dildos are actually real creatures' penises, just from interplanetary visitors. That's how they get all their designs. Alex Jones is an expert in that, by the way. He had a big, like, famous 45-minute rant on the on how Bad Dragon molds alien cocks for dildos. He's freaking out about it. He was red as a tomato, like, talking about it. He said that, like, Hillary Clinton has one of them, apparently. I don't know which one, but apparently she has one of them. Not the Bad Dragon, but the thing that they used, the willy that molded for Bad Dragon. So, yeah. He had a rant about the Memphis Pyramid as well. Did he actually? That's actually crazy. Good for her. I know, right? This is real, people. I love watching this one dude correcting TikTok ancient alien type people. Yeah, those are pretty funny. Hey, Hara, I'm home. Hey, Jadelle. Something about demonic rituals. You need to go back to that Bass Pro Pyramid, though. I'm gonna be honest, like, that's what's weird about it. Like, where in the fuck would they be doing those rituals, dude? There's a hotel in there, my guy. You think, like, Jim Bob is, like, coming out of the fucking Bass Pro fucking Pyramid Hotel at, like, 2 in the afternoon, like, 2 in the morning on, like, a Tuesday night going, what the hell is this? And there's, like, a bunch of, like, fish, like, people wearing, like, fish heads, like, blood sacrificing in the middle of the fucking, like, artificial wharf. No, dude. If Alex Jones was still on, there would be a non-zero chance he would talk about the 19 inches of venom. Actually, though. I wish that's what went on at the Pyramids Hotel. Yeah, like, it's actually like a secret, like, tribute and, like massive monument catalyst for, like, some kind of eldritch aquatic being, like Dagon or some shit. That would be hilarious, honestly. I'd die. I'd join in, honestly. That sounds like a sick cult. Mine's better still, but I'd moonlight in the weekends. A cockleanth that speaks in riddles and fortune cookie sayings? Actually, though. Except it's, like, not even, like, real fortune cookie sayings. It's like Panda Express where they're afraid of getting, like, sued for wrong fortune cookie sayings. So they just give you, like, ones that are like, you are a gracious person. And it's like, this isn't a fortune. This is just a compliment. Your grand generosity will be paid in kind. And it's like, okay. Sick. It's not really a fortune. Co-cleanth? Oh, you can co-clean these nuts. Hey, Artie, welcome in. All right. I think we're finally gonna get started on that Sean Munger video. It's a bit long. There's almost no way we make it through the whole thing during stream. But I think we're gonna get started on it. Let me get it pulled up real quick. You guys don't know, I'm a big fan of Sean Munger. He's a really cool guy. He's a history teacher, who is really good at his job. And he does like probably some of the best like academic research on YouTube, and he only gets like 50K views. So I like to watch his old videos so that his name gets out, and you guys hopefully follow him and like check out his stuff because he really deserves it. He really does. So this one is on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusades, or in the Last Crusade. And he's doing like a historical movie analysis. So you've ever seen History Buffs, the TV show? It's like that, except like while Nick Hodges is what I think his name is, does a really good job. This goes a little bit deeper. Indiana, we named the dog Indiana. I'm a squirrel. No, that makes sense. Hara, link this man's channel. Okay, let me grab it real quick. Hold on. Let me turn the TV off. I mean, if you just look up on YouTube, Sean Munger. Here we go. I'll plaster it in both so YouTube and Twitch can take a look at his stuff. But he really deserves it. He's a great video essayist, and he is great at presentations. He has a Patreon and stuff. Honestly, you need to subscribe to it. I want to help him out. He deserves it, so. Alright. So as usual, I'll be yapping like an idiot through all of it, but yeah.
On Memorial Day weekend, 1989, I went with my parents to a multiplex to see Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the second sequel to Steven Spielberg's classic adventure film, Raiders of the Lost.
Okay, I hate to pause it 10 seconds in, but I don't know if anybody else feels this, like, especially if you're, like, a millennial. I hate the idea that, like, I will never get to have these kind of moments with future generations where I'm like, yeah, I remember seeing that movie as a kid and how amazing it was and how revolutionary it was for, like, me as a child. I don't remember that for, like, any movies. Like, I mean, I guess there are some, like, Toy Story or, like, stuff like that, but there's nothing on the level of, like, Indiana Jones or the original Star Wars series, where it's, like, just completely revolutionary. So, like, it feels really, I'm a little jealous when people that are older get to be able to have these where it's like, I watched Indiana Jones and it changed my life. It's like, damn, I wish I would have had that shit. Jurassic Park, I didn't care for Jurassic Park. I'm a girl. I was not into dinosaurs at fucking 8 or whatever that movie came out. It actually might have been before my time still, even then. Maybe Avengers. I'm gonna be honest. I never liked comic shit, so. Hey Gonzo, how's it going? But yeah, I'm a little jealous of that, just to add in. Was early 90s? Yeah, I definitely would not have remembered.
Stark. It was a tremendously
I was asleep during that time.
The movies. About a month later, we saw it again. It was still in theaters, and I remember that experience.
Let alone good enough to see it twice.
Moving across the country to the Pacific Northwest.
I don't think there's been a single movie I've ever seen where I'm like, yeah, I would pay $20 at the movie theater to go see that again.
So I remember it as part of a life transition.
The Dark Knight trilogy? Okay, that might be one of them. Lord of the Rings was good, but I didn't see it in theaters. Again, too young.
Evilism, ancient artifacts and manuscripts.
Lord of the Rings and the Dark Knight trilogy is probably one of them though. And again, I don't like comics, so.
Best ever scores. Many years later, when
why did my dad leave for milk and ciggies, but my cousin's dad came back with chicken nuggies? Because he loves them more.
Specifically Henry Jones's theme.
Because you jerk off at night, that's why.
For the very first time.
Because you touch yourself, you little gremlin.
Why I eventually became a historian.
That's why he left. It's your fault. Oh shit.
So it's an
you better lose.
Perfect subject for a historical
What'd you?
movie.
Yes, I win! 3-1, Tarn. You suck at this game.
My name is Sean Munger, and I'm a
Hi,
PhD
Sean.
historian. And in
Hell
this
yeah.
video, I'm going to take you on a deep dive through numerous subjects associated
Was
with
told
this
that's how
film.
you go blind.
You may be
Actually, watching the
surprised at
stream
all
is
the
how you go
directions
blind.
I'm
Here,
gonna go.
radiation right in
For
your
example,
eyeballs.
I'm going to cover not just the Holy Grail and the real Crusades, but also some bits of 20th century history.
2-1, get your
involving
numbers straight.
pre-World War
How about
II era,
you suck
how Venice
2-1
works,
of these
the British
dicks
Mark
and
VIII
balls?
tank, the surprising fate of the province of the Ottoman Empire, higher education in
It messed
Utah
me
in the
up growing up
19
till this day.
and
Oh,
a
I'm
lot
sorry,
more.
dude.
So if you're wondering why this video is almost
That
an
does
hour
stink,
and
if
20
you're not
minutes,
kidding.
nearly 2/3 as long as the real film, that's why
Ow!
there's a lot to cover. Because it is so long,
Touche!
you might want to bookmark this video and work your way through it
Touche!
chapter by chapter over a period of time. I've tried to label the chapters as clearly
That doesn't
as
fix your
possible
shitty
with the
record, though.
subjects that they cover. Beware, though, that Venice 1938, however, is kind of a catch-all for various topics, and it's separate from
See
the
what happens
scenes
when you
that
smart
take
off?
place
I
during
always
the
smart off. I'm a
Holocaust,
genius.
which is a separate chapter. But aside from that, the chapter title.
Watch it, Hara. Your brat is showing. Really?
I'm virtually certain
Where?
that nearly everyone who clicks on this video, all 12 of you,
I don't know what you're talking
have
about.
seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. But in the rare event that you haven't, or if you need a refresher, I'll do a very brief summary of the film before we get started on
Hit me with it, Sean.
Made in 1989, directed
Oh my
by
God, that's
Steven
way older than I
Spielberg
thought.
and written by Jeffrey Boehm and a couple of other scriptwriters who didn't get formal credit. This is the story, of course, of the swashbuckling archaeologist Indiana Jones, who teaches at an Ivy League college sometimes, but more often fills his time with globe-trotting adventures questing after various artifacts from history. This time, it's the Holy Grail, which in this film is described, not entirely accurately as we'll see, as the chalice used by Christ at the Last Supper, and which is believed to have magical and redemptive properties, including the power to confer immortality on anyone who drinks from it. But before we get there, the picture starts in Utah in 1912. With
Utah!
a teenage Indiana Jones, played by River Phoenix as a Boy Scout, who interrupts some bandits who are looting a gold cross called the Cross of Coronado. There's a fun chase on a circus train, and then we briefly encounter Jones'
Okay, I'll
father,
actually
played
say,
by
like,
Sean Connery,
this scene here is, like,
who
maybe
a
one of, like,
medieval
the
literature
kid scene is, like,
professor
some of the
apparently
best in any of the
obsessed
movies.
with the Holy
As
Grail.
the
Fast
same
forward
as,
to
like, the
1938,
transition from
Jones's
this to
father
him
is
being on the
kidnapped
boat.
for reasons unknown
That, like,
at
might be my
first.
favorite part
A
of any of the
wealthy
Indiana Jones
collector of
movies.
Antiquities, Walter Donovan, enlists Indiana Jones to go after him. Donovan apparently enlisted the
Man,
senior
needed the
Jones
laughs.
on an
I'm glad you're
attempt to
having
find
fun,
the Grail,
Caesar.
whose location somewhere in the Holy Land is alluded to by a series of markers, one of which Jones, the younger Jones, goes to find in Venice. Then he sidetracks to Austria, where the elder Jones is being held captive by Nazis, who of course want the Grail for themselves, and it turns out that Donovan, played by Julian Glover, is a Nazi sympathizer. The whole crew eventually makes it to the Middle East, specifically the Republic of Hatay, following clues in the senior Jones's Grail diary.
Okay, I'm gonna be
There's a great
honest, I have
action
literally no
sequence
clue where that
involving a
is.
tank, and ultimately they find the Grail in a remote temple guarded by a 900-year-old knight. You know the rest. Donovan chooses poorly, Henry Jones is saved by the Grail's miraculous properties, and the
I do need to
heroes
rewatch
ride
this
off
movie
into the
again.
sunset.
It's been a long
This picture
time.
was a gigantic hit upon its release in the summer of 1989 and was hailed as an instant classic. It was supposed to be the last Indiana Jones film, and it was.
Because he didn't want to go
until
back to
inexplicably
TV. I
they
don't blame
decided
him.
to make
TV
that
apparently
awful
sucks
Kingdom of
ass
the
to
Crystal
do.
Skull thing in 2008. Apparently, I've heard they're working on another one now. Just stop already. I consider
Just
Last
stop
Crusade
already.
to be the final Indiana Jones.
See, that's the thing is, like, this is where I disagree with most people on this. Yeah, I know, right? It came out in 89. It's very old, apparently. That's actually, okay, I'll talk about that in a second. I'll touch on that in a moment, because that is something that I was thinking about earlier. But this is where I disagree with most people that like Indiana Jones. I'm gonna be honest. Crystal Skull was mediocre. It wasn't terrible. It was mediocre. The newest one, I thought was pretty good. I'm going to be completely honest. I saw that a lot of people did not like the newest Indiana Jones. What is it? The Dial of Destiny or whatever. I thought it was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I actually really enjoyed the Dial of Destiny or whatever it was called. Like I saw it in theaters. There were some things that were a little ahistorical. Like I think they're in a plane and it gets hit by like a Roman ballista while they're flying, and it's like, okay, the odds of that happening are literally zero. But I thought it was very interesting. I had a lot of fun with it. But I saw people being like, this movie fucking sucked. It was garbage. I was like, I thought it was pretty good. I liked it. Now the other thing I want to talk about is like, ever since becoming a curator, something that's like blown my mind is like, I will get things in from like 2003 and 2004, right? And I'll be like, why the fuck are we accepting this as a museum? It's 2003, 2004. That's not old. You know what I mean? That's not old. It's just 2003, 2004. Like, NSYNC was a band. Who cares, you know? That's like working at a museum in 2000 and saying that something from the 1980s doesn't matter. And like, when I think about it in that context, I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, shit. Like, 2003 really is that old. It's 22 years. That's a fourth of a lifetime. That's horrifying. Yeah. Like, I can't imagine, like, looking at something from 1940 and then looking back on something in, like, 1910 and being like, that's not old. It's definitely old. It's very old. Or being, like, 1920s and looking back at, like, 1880 and being like, that's not old. Yeah, no, that is definitely fucking old. So, yeah. That's horrifying to think of. That's horrifying to think of. Is that, like, 2000 really is that old? And, like, in 10 years, when, like, hopefully my career blossoms further and I'll be, like, doing, like, stuff at a larger museum, I'll be accepting shit from, like, 2010. I can't fucking wait to get the Holy Grail signed Shakira Black Eyed Peas album on vinyl that is now like considered like an old relic of the past times, that's got like, let's get it started in here and like pump it. And like people are like, oh my God, this is what our ancestors listened to. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, this music was garbage even at its time. Please get this shit out of my museum. I hate it. I hate it. I'm gonna be in like I'm like gonna put that on a display case. I don't want to be like a straight jacket in the corner. Just like, no, get it out. If they were never good. The band always sucked. Especially 50 years later. Hara's gonna get the fucking first minion, actually, though. Indiana Jones, speaking about Hara, I would hope so. I'm 5,000 years old. I literally have a signed copy of Master of Puppets that I've never opened. Yeah, that's probably like, that would literally belong in like a music museum at this point. VTuber museums would be something. Okay, I don't know how you'd do a VTuber museum. Everything would have to be digital. Like what are you gonna pick? Like, not to make fun of this VTuber, but like, here's Vexoria's like discarded like panties from like her first ever Blue Sky, or her first ever lewd stream. And it's like, why are you putting that in a display case? No, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be shit like that. Or like, here's a signed piece of Pipkin Pippa merch that still has remnants of like some kind of dried muck on it. And it's like, okay. They're like, why? Huh? Like, fuck preservation. You got this thing dirty. You drop that signed Pippa doll on the floor and that thing's getting the floor dirty at that point. It's getting the floor dirty, dude. VTuber standee displays, that would be something, I guess. I guess you could do like a history of like VTuber merch. It'd just be weird. It'd be really weird. 50 years in the future and a single action figure of a minion from Despicable Me is on display in a museum for some friggin' reason. It's like half melted and charred due to a nuclear blast. That's what they do with ancient people's clothes as well. You're not exactly wrong. There are digital museums for those that aren't able to visit them. Yeah, but they have like physical items that they digitize. It's not like a clip of me talking about wet vacuuming my orgasm, like on display in like an actual like state funded museum. Like, you know what I mean? Those old McDonald's toys on display. Okay, that China plastic is not lasting 10 years. The food from McDonald's will outlive the toys they make. Like, if you preserve okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. We're way off topic. If you preserve a McDonald's hamburger in like a dog shit China plastic toy from like 1990 and put them in the same fucking box and have them just sit for 30 years, that toy is gonna be ashes. And the McDonald's hamburger is gonna look the exact same as when you bought it. Count on it. And I say that as someone that likes McDonald's. I just want to say, I feel like this is again another reason of like my history streams and my just chatting streams are the best. I feel like there's been more funnier stuff, like clippable fun shit said in the past 30 minutes than there are on most War Thunder streams, so. Keep checking these out, losers. This is where I'm at my best. This is my peak. Anyway, I'm gonna let the real OG Sean Munger get back to it.
Film, and while as a movie, it's probably not quite as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh my god! Actually, about the Twinkie thing, there will be people in 20 years that are pulling like Max Miller shit, and are like, "We create a Twinkie," or like, "We recreate an oatmeal cream pie." We recreate a regular cream pie, and I'm not talking about the pie. What did Americans eat in 2025? And it's just like a fucking like Crunchwrap Supreme from Taco Bell. It's some guy spending 45 minutes like acquiring rare ingredients to make a fucking Crunchwrap Supreme. Like they're beyond the need of like dog shit $2 nacho cheese. You just have to find ways to like make it through like old like dog shit cookbooks, and it doesn't taste nearly the same. An old Earth ballad plays Toxic from Britney Spears. Exactly.
It is my favorite of the 3 original films. So before we get into the history, I want to say one thing, and I made this same point in my recent video on Gladiator and the fall of the Roman Empire. Doing an analysis of how a film handles history and how accurately
is my soda loud?
So is
but it's not disturbing the movie.
Automatically a criticism of the film itself. Movies about historical themes can be perfectly good without being accurate.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get the last bit of liquid out.
Crusade is not very accurate, not even close. But that doesn't mean that I don't like it or even love it. In fact, this is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I'm doing this video because of that.
Sorry, am I disrupting the movie? Ow! Am I disrupting the movie? I'm sorry.
Hear me call out the film for getting a lot of history wrong.
All right, I'm done.
Whether deliberately or innocently, understand fully that I love this film and I would not change a single thing about it. With that said, let's delve into the history of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
I will admit that hat, for some reason, looks like a bucket hat to me.
Of this film, which is highly misleading in a historical sense. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Let's talk about the key word in that title, which is last, and also the word crusade. Because the story
of the
film
like buzzer
is Indiana
noises.
Jones's quest for the Holy Grail, the title gives the impression that one or more of the previous crusades were also
That's crazy, Strider.
Just to give you a sense of how misleading the title is, let me tell you a war story.
Hara, I choose a baby in my movie theater over your soda noises, lol, JK. I will smack my lips through mouths of buttery, salted popcorn. I will literally eat the popcorn so messily, there will be butter all over my body, and I will be like drooling butter.
Crusades were about.
Like, I'm gonna have the movie theater, like, I'm gonna have like the fucking like 16-year-old, like paid like $4 an hour, like high school student, sit there with like the butter pump, and I'm just like, keep going, and it's like literally like leaking out through the cardboard, like through the bottom of the fucking cardboard, like all over their hands. I'm like, keep going, And she starts like tearing up a little bit, and I'm like, don't you fucking stop. And she finally hands it over, and then it like jump cuts to me in the movie theater, and I'm like, so like oiled up from butter, I'm like half slipping out of the fucking chair. I'm just like, ow, ow. It's just like loud as shit in the middle of like a horror movie, like during tense moments, so it fucking ruins it. I'd be the worst. I'd do it on purpose. It'd be fun. It'd be a lot of fun, dude. And then I go outside at like 10 p.m. and lay in the streets while the like, you know what? I'm not gonna finish that. Never mind. I'm not gonna finish that. I was gonna say something that was completely normal within like a normal human being context, but I realized there's weird people on the internet, and that might make me come across as weird. So I'm not saying that. Anyway, back to the video.
Is not very accurate, not even close. But that doesn't mean that I don't like it or even
I'm not finishing it.
In fact, this is one of my all-time favorite movies. And
It's
I'm
a good
doing
pick.
this video in part because of that. It's really fun to play.
Finish
in
the
the
sentence.
sandbox.
Fine. I was gonna say I was gonna go
while
lay in
you'll
the street and
hear
let
me
like
call out
fucking
the
like
film for getting a lot
wild
of
dogs
history
just
wrong,
lick the butter
whether
off of me.
deliberately or innocently,
Like I'm a fucking
understand
like
fully that
community
I
salt
love
lick.
this film, and I would not change a single thing
Actually,
about it.
forget the
With
dogs.
that
I'll let
said,
people do it.
let's
I'll be a
delve
community
into the
salt
history
lick.
of
There we
Indiana
go.
Jones
There we
and
go. I'll be the
Crusade.
community salt lick. I'll
The
roll
first
around a
issue
little
that
bit
we
on the
need to deal
pavement
with
too,
is
so you get a
the
little bit of
title
gravel
this
in there.
film, which is highly misleading. How
is that
in a
normal at all?
historical
I said it
sense.
wasn't normal.
Indiana Jones and the Last
I'm
Crusade.
I'm losing my mind
Let's
now.
talk about the key word in that title, which is last, and also the word crusade.
The glaucoma
Because
working
the
too
story of
slowly.
the
Too bad
film
glaucoma
is
can't
Indiana
make you
Jones's
deaf.
quest for the Holy Grail, the title gives the impression that one or more of the previous crusades were also about the Holy Grail. Just to give you a sense of how misleading the title is, let me tell you a war story.
Okay.
I teach a course in pre-modern history at a middle school. And
I said, okay, I didn't say it was normal. I said in normal company, it'd be taken as a funny joke. But because of the internet being the way it is, if someone doesn't know me and hears me say that, they're going to be like, she actually wants to do that. You know what I mean? Normal? Never. You're right. I'm super special. I would never be something as boring as normal. No one summoned the rat? Oh. Okay.
when we get to the subject of the Crusades, I often start by asking my students, 7th graders in this case, what they think, without knowing anything about them, that the Crusades were about. Every single year, nearly the first answer I always get is the Holy Grail. That's in their minds because they've seen or at least heard about this film. And they've
These
internalized
dumbass 7th
the
graders
narrative
ain't
that
ever seen
title
Kingdom of
suggests.
Heaven.
Here's the most important fact in this video, and the one
Man,
point that I hope
these kids
everyone
don't know
who
shit
watches
about
it
the
comes away with.
Crusades.
The Crusades, in reality,
We've lost
were
our
not
internet
about
culture to the
possession
next
or
generation.
recovery of the Holy Grail.
These
Let me
kids
repeat
don't know
that. The
shit about
Crusades
Rome or
were
the
not
Crusades.
about the Holy Grail. The story of the Holy
You should
Grail
watch
is
Kingdom of Heaven. It's really good.
And it's the subject of an online class that I teach for free on my website. And the videos for that class, 6 of them in total, they're here on my YouTube channel, so you can see that for yourself. And without rehashing all of that, let me just summarize briefly. The Holy Grail is a literary phenomenon, not a historical one or even a theological one. There is no mention of the Holy Grail in the
See, this was
Bible.
surprising.
Many
I didn't know
people
that the
are
Holy
surprised to
Grail
learn
was
that.
completely
The way the
fabricated and not
characters
even, like,
talk about the
biblical.
Holy Grail in this film, particularly when the character of Donovan introduces the concept during the interview with Dr. Jones, it sounds like a slam dunk. That this is the cup that was used at the Last Supper, which caught Christ's blood at the crucifixion. There are no accounts of Christ's crucifixion, at least none that
Yeah,
are
because, like, if you think about it, that'd be really weird, even by, like, biblical standards, if it's like, the poor homeless woman came beneath Jesus and held up her little shitty goblet and collected his blood and sipped of it. Like, kind of like how the Catholics do communion, and it's like, this poor bitch was being a cannibal. How is that holy? You know what I mean? Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. Like, who's collecting the blood and for what purpose, you know? What are they doing with that shit?
recognized as part of the canonical Bible that even mention the Holy Grail. Indeed, its first appearance in any literature at all wasn't until nearly 1200 years later, when French poet Chatrian de Troyes wrote Perceval, the story of the Grail.
We did give them wine and call it his blood. It was a metaphor.
In other medieval texts,
my blood's margaritas. I'm not expecting you guys to come bring out an IV and pull out my blood.
Knights questing for it, but not
and then drink
Crusader
it.
Knights. The Holy Grail is associated directly with legends and writings about Britain's King Arthur.
I'm getting the IV kit now.
A figure in literature who most historians agree probably did not exist in real life. There's a host of King Arthur stories.
Well, the reason it was a pour cup and not like a golden cup, if I'm remembering correctly, is because Jesus was raised by a carpenter's son. Well, the thing is that, like, yes, he was a carpenter and he was raised by a carpenter's son. But the fucking goblet in the book has gold in it. The inside of the fucking cup is gold. And it's not even wood. It's like stone. It's like clay. He was not a rich man. Me neither.
Beyond the central narrative of Arthur, Guinevere, and Lancelot, and Merlin, of course, the Holy Grail kind
This is my blood, this is my body, and this is your card. Pulls out a Queen of Hearts, and the disciples go fucking ape shit.
An object that Arthur
just like every church youth group, Jesus Christ also too loves playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm Seto Kaiba, Blue Eyes White Dragon. He like plays it and like Satan like gets blasted by like thousands of rays of light and just perishes right on the spot.
In order to prove their religious and moral virtue. Probably
before the butter comment, get the IV after. No thanks, JK. Yeah, you better say JK.
Written in the 15th century.
Otherwise, they'll be sucking your blood out with a straw. The cardboard ones. The paper ones.
That has made its way into pop culture in the English-speaking
Yu-Gi-Oh! And Halo 2 hit different. It was either like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Halo, or like Super Smash Brothers on a GameCube.
Once and Future King, which I read in middle school, to John Borman's 1981 fantasy film Excalibur.
Okay, can we talk about the fact how fucking radical that art is? That is fucking sick art. That looks like some like retro Dark Souls shit. That looks fucking sick.
What's bizarre about the Grail narrative presented in Indiana Jones and the
God,
Last
that
Crusade
art balls. Hang on. Yeah, it looks pretty sick.
King Arthur, which is what the Holy Grail is almost universally associated with.
Mario? Wait. Back up. What do you mean Mario Sunshine was somehow sinful? I just love the idea of your, like, youth counselor being like, okay, look, I'll allow you to play Pokemon, you can play Doom, I don't care. But Mario Sunshine, it is an Italian man. First off, that is against Christianity, being Italian. Second off, he has a jetpack made of water. That is another thing against Christianity. Jesus specifically said in Matthew 6:15, thou shalt not coveteth thine friend's water jetpack. Then he collects sons? Sons. That sounds like idolatry. That's awful. What's next? He collects trophies of ball. You know what I mean? Like that's sinful, man. You can't expect Mario Sunshine for the GameCube to be permitted in this house of holy worship. It has so many heretical things in it. Like the cloud creatures. The little Oompa Loompa yellow guys? That's a demon. Yo, welcome in. Thank you for the raid. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid, Milk Wolves. I think I'm saying that right. Welcome in, everyone. My name's Hara Rae Sol, and I'm Egyptian Peregrine Sun Goddess. I do War Thunder variety and history streams, and tonight is our history stream, even though the chaos makes it seem a little bit not like that. I am a 5,000-year-old sun goddess that is the combination of Horus and Ra, known as Ra Harakti in ancient Egypt. I'm also a published historian and work full-time as a museum curator. So if you have any history questions or museum questions or just want to chat about your favorite type of history, tonight's the night. We're watching a video by Sean Munger, who's a really great historian on YouTube. I would highly recommend his stuff. He really deserves your view. He doesn't get a lot of stuff. And a lot of views, and he really deserves them. And we're watching his like historical movie critique of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. So yeah, Published, need that book. Oh, it's not a book. I wish it was a book. It's just, it was my dissertation, which I can't share because it's published and you guys would be able to find me, so. Whoa, real historian. And I'm real history, too. I'm 5,000 years old, so. Just finished my volunteer work. Man, it was wild. A group of 8th graders playing roulette with a roulette table, chips, cards, everything. That's sick. Fun fact about the Excalibur movie post, the man who did the art is known as Bob Peak, one of the most famous illustrators in poster work and stamps, passed away in 92. Damn. Dude was Peak, huh? Also, I made up that Mario Sunshine bit, but God, that was funny. I'm glad you liked it. And thank you for the follow, Milk Wolves. I think I'm saying your name right. Please feel free to correct me. I think it's very important for me to get that correct. But thank you so much for the raid. Here, let me get my book out. I'll give you a boon real quick. Hold on. All right. Okay. Let me see. What would be a beneficial spell here? Let's see. Control mummy wraps at will, no. Dustomancy, a little boring. Pyrokinesis? I don't know about that one. Oh! This one might be good. Alright. Every time you eat one of those fake chocolate gold coins, there is a 5% chance that it is a real chocolate or a real gold coin. So there you go. Enjoy that, boon. Go out and buy a fuck ton of those shitty chocolate coins. I'm sorry you have to like open up 1 billion of them, but eventually you'll find a real gold one. So that'll be pretty sick. Whose boons? Your boons? Dude, I'll show you my fucking boons. I'll show you my boons right now, dude. These are my boons. Right fucking here. These are the money makers. That's where I get my gold. Or this. They call this my Daniel boon. Yeah. Anyway, before I get banned on Twitch. Alright, back to the video.
Story around the Holy Grail without mentioning King Arthur is kind of like doing a story involving kryptonite.
Alright, gets banned again, probably.
Superman. In the abstract, it
Degenerate bird, hardly.
But the scriptwriters of this film somehow managed to do it.
I am like a nun compared to most VTubers, let's be honest.
An interesting fact about the Grail
I completely forgot that the Last Crusade actually talks about King Arthur.
The sources that talk about it can't even agree on what it is. Sometimes it's a cup or chalice, but not always. In some medieval sources,
sometimes it's a glass mason jar full of pickled radishes.
In others, it's a magical stone with spiritual and transformative.
This! Oh my gosh, look! After 6 decades of searching, we finally found it! Look, chat! Behold! The holy mason jar of pickled radishes, once owned by Cotton-Eye Joe himself! Here within this very cave! Look upon its splendor! It's pickled splendor! It's pickled, chat! Pickled! It's pickled! I'm on something today. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't know what it is, but I'm completely on something. I literally pulled my dog aside before a stream and I was like, there is no mercy for you. God has completely not forgiven your dumb little ignorant ass. You are banned to the 5th hell, and there's nothing you can do to escape it. So therefore, woe with me, Pooch, small little creature. Woe with me at your fate. You just like sit there staring at me like, yeah. I might have 5,000 years, 3 of it spent in a dark void makes you go a little insane. So. I might be a peregrine falcon, but I am also a little bit cuckoo.
Properties.
It's in my familial line.
Personal favorite incarnation. It's even sometimes
Everybody
said
look!
to be a book.
I'm Pickle Christ
in his own blood. The film glosses over these alternative interpretations by pretending as if it's universally
Hey Anthony, how's it going?
That the Grail is the cup used at the Last Supper.
I like that line, Coon. Ooh, how splendid!
There are medieval texts that portray the Grail as a chalice, so that does appear, and those usually do mention Joseph of Arimathea. It appears
Cool.
that Joseph of Arimathea was a real person, but we don't really know very much about him historically. He is mentioned
Well,
in
he
the
looked
Bible,
like that.
usually in connection with the burial of Christ.
Bro, this guy over here has like the NBA, like every NBA player's haircut, like the kind of like slightly like curled but like really short and kept to the head kind of like haircut, you know what I mean?
He is mentioned in the Bible, usually in connection with the burial of Christ. It's said that he donated his tomb for Christ's burial. The site of that is now the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem.
That is a
Apparently,
pretty sick
Joseph of
tomb.
Arimathea was a
All right,
member
go
of
look
the
in harem chat.
Sanhedrin, the
Oh,
Jewish
God.
ruling council in Judea. So the medieval legends that associated the Grail with Joseph of
I
Arimathea
fucking hate that, Bunky.
usually
I fucking
have
hate
him
that. Get that
bringing
out of
it
here.
From the Holy
Get that the fuck out of here. I look like I'm from fucking Annoying Orange. Like, I don't even look like Pickle Rick. I look like I'm out of fucking Annoying Orange, but I'm the fucking pickle. I fucking hate it, dude. I fucking hate it.
Holy Land to Britain.
I hate that. That's garbage.
In the first century.
Garbage.
But there is no historical evidence that Joseph of Arimathea ever was
disgusting.
in Britain.
Thank you
much
for the
less
follow,
that he
Zach.
brought
Welcome to the
Grail.
cult, buddy.
Glastonbury Abbey, which is traditionally associated
That's
with
the
King
point.
Arthur, and indeed said
I'll give
to
you
be
my
his
point.
burial place, if he existed, is supposed to be where the Grail was kept. So you got that. The more traditional resting place of the Holy Grail is not the Holy Land at all, but Glastonbury in England.
Glastonbury, England. That's hilarious.
Jones film. In the later Middle Ages, several objects, usually cups or chalices of some kind, have been asserted by priests or local authorities to be the Holy Grail.
Far off in the great mystical Holy Land of Leicestershire, England, the great shower curtain of Christ, in which Christ bathed behind at the scenes of Judea, is kept here on display. As you can see here, it's even got the black mold that he got from not spraying and bleaching his shower curtain after each shower.
Again, no agreement, no consensus on which one, and there are several competing claimants. The reason for this is that in the Middle Ages, various towns and churches in parts of Europe depended financially on
They took a lot more than knuckle bones
coming to your church to worship, which was certainly helped if you had something that you could claim was a holy relic, an object associated with Christ or the saints. This was huge business in the Middle Ages, and it
you like when he okay understand. Okay, so like he doesn't really get into the deep dive of this, but I will actually add something historical for once to this stream. In the Middle Ages, it became very important as it was related to the conversion of like Roman culture from like the Roman papacy. Well, I don't know if papacy is the right word, but like the Roman polytheistic religion, when it converted to Catholicism after the emperor left Rome for Byzantium, and essentially the church gained all the influence in the city. There became this like cult worship that is only a thing seen in Catholicism. That's why there's saints and things like that, and that's sanctifying people and relics. I forget what it's called. I think it's iconoclasts. And that's actually how Protestants split from. Am I using the right word for that? Where Protestants split from Catholics, one of the big reasons was due to iconoclasm. Let me double check. Hold on. Let me research this real quick. Okay, so the word is actually icon. That's where the word icon comes from. It's essentially like an image or a depiction that is holy is where it comes from. But yeah, iconoclasts were Protestants, which believed that like this was essentially a form of like idol worship. Because like they saw it as like you're worshiping an idol, which is a depiction of Jesus, like a wall or like a piece of cross or the Shroud of Turin or the Holy Grail, rather than Christ himself. And that was a big reason why Protestants and Catholics split. But But the belief of icons goes all the way back to ancient Rome when they adopted Catholicism. And they believed that, like, the closer you were buried to a saint or a holy place or a holy relic meant that you had a better chance of getting into heaven. So that's why, like, you had catacombs, like the beginnings of catacombs and things like that, because they'd want to be buried under churches, which are holy places, or around saints, which were typically buried at churches. So that's where those practices came from. Now, if you're a church in the Middle Ages and you need money and influence, and you really want money and influence, what's the easiest way to do that with an illiterate populace? By selling icons that everybody believes in will help them get to heaven easier. So you have these fabricated items that make people come and visit your church, pay tithes, pay to see the item, or even pay to get an item of their own, or even pay to be buried next to it. So that way your church gains money from this fake artifact, like a Shroud of Turin, or like like the holy nails for the crucifixion, or stuff like that. So, yes, a medieval tourist attraction. That is exactly what it was. And that's what birthed this. And that's how the church, the Catholic Church especially, became so rich, was due to early stuff like that and then tithing. So, yeah. Were found among European churches to attract travelers and worshipers. Yes, that was another aspect, Coy. That was another aspect that was utilized, was rumors of miracles. So, yeah, very, very common.
Of what's called pious fraud, where numerous fake objects were ginned up and said to be holy, but actually weren't. They were just made up for financial gain.
There you go.
Incidentally, is how we got the Shroud of Turin. One of the few
But yeah, that came from ancient Rome, is where it came from.
Into modern times.
And that was the big split on Protestants and Catholics, was iconoclasm.
Supposedly Christ's burial shroud and purports to show an image of him. Anyway, scientific analysis of that object demonstrates that it was created in the 12th or 13th century. If you want to see
it's a scam
that has been claimed to be the actual Holy Grail, you don't need to fight Nazis and go on some long...
Hi, Trevor. Welcome in. What if there was a Gen Alpha Amish child named Skibadiah? He would surely be the second coming of Christ. My bad. He would not... He's Amish, so he wouldn't be the second coming of Christ. He'd be the second coming of that dude in pajamas that read the new 10 Commandments from Christ. Or is that Mormonism? Either way, they're ridiculous.
Quest. Just go to the Cathedral of Valencia in Spain, and they've got a whole special chapel.
Moses? No, not Moses. Mormons.
The Chalice of Valencia.
You said that your door was hieroglyphics, so I've been trying to translate it, and I found my favorite hieroglyphics, A14 and D53. There you go.
But believers think it is. It's been in this cathedral since 1437. There's also a chalice in Genoa, Italy, that is claimed to be...
I love their sausage.
There's even one called the Antioch Chalice at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City.
I love their hand grenades.
The final resting place of the Holy Grail is New York City. Okay, so much...
That's unsurprising.
As for the Crusades,
I mean, shit, I bet the final resting place of the fucking,
extremely complex
of the Ark of the Covenant is like some warehouse in Kentucky. So, not surprised.
Countries of Western and Central Europe and the Islamic world, which was not unified. The usual objective of these wars was to conquer Jerusalem. The First Crusade began in 1096 after a call
Nah,
to
Babylon
European
probably
knights
melted it down
to
or something.
conquer Jerusalem
Possibly.
Was made by Pope Urban
Okay,
II.
the thing is, like, I don't see how you melt down a... I don't understand how you melt down a... what is essentially, like, a box carried on poles. I don't understand how you, like, melt that down because if you touch it, you just die. You have to be one of the 12 tribes of Israel to even touch the fucking thing. How are you melting that down? It literally kills you if you touch it. Like, ain't no way, dude. Took the gold and scrapped the wood. That's what I'm saying. They couldn't touch it. To me, that says even if you melt it down, like anything made of that, you touch it and get smited. So, like, the thing is like, if you touch it at all, you die. So, like, how would they steal it? Yeah, I mean, it was carried on poles, but how did he melt it down? Like, what, he put it in like a fucking like room-sized furnace? And then what? Does it still kill you if you touch the melted pieces? When does it stop being like death ray-ish?
At the Council
That's my
of
question.
Clement, many knights and some ordinary
I
people...
think it'd be ridiculous if God is if the Christian Abrahamic God is like, ooh, if you touch it, you die, and then they melt it down into like liquid form, and he's like, ah, well, they fucking got me. Like, no, there's no way, dude. There's no way. He's just like, oh, well, you know, they found the loophole. They found the loophole. I can make physical gold kill you to the touch. I can't make liquid gold do it. They figured it out. I don't know how they did it, but they figured it out. Those damn Babylonians, probably fucking Ishtar. Yeah, no way.
Heeded the call, and a force did conquer Jerusalem in July 1099, which led to a horrifying massacre.
And it was said God took it away in scripture, made brass and wood. Yeah, I was about to say, I think they said that like God took it from the Babylonians.
Even by medieval
because what happened was that the Babylonians took it from Judea, and then I think it was either the Persians, which then I think it was the Persians that then conquered the Babylonians. And then it was just lost, and God apparently took it away after they were conquered. I'm pretty sure that's how it went.
After conquering
right, because like the Jews were under Darius the First.
Patchwork of
I believe it was Darius, King Darius.
The Crusader states, and subsequent crusades were directed either
Mede and Persians,
or retaking.
Yeah, the Assyrians were gone by then. I think the Assyrians were wiped out by the Babylonians.
Powers, or retaking Jerusalem itself, which reverted to Muslim control in 1187. The one outlier was the Fourth Crusade, which occurred in 1204. The ostensible objective of this crusade was to retake Jerusalem, but the Crusaders got sidetracked, mainly for financial reasons, and
as usual, as you do,
Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, a Christian city. That event is mentioned in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and I'll talk about it in Chapter 7. This is an aside and not the point of this video, but the Crusades are a fraught topic because in
Hey Tara, how's it going?
This history has been
technically, Jadal, they were conquered by the Macedonians, or Macedonians,
and right-wingers, who like to insist erroneously that the Crusades were Christian Europe's reaction to or defense against Muslim aggression. That is absolutely not true, but let's not go there, because I don't particularly want to play another game of Crusader fanboy bingo, which is a famous favorite pastime, particularly on Twitter.
I love it when he talks shit.
Historians who do medieval history get attacked by people distorting the history of the Crusades for modern ideological reasons.
Yeah, talk your academic shit, Sean. Fuck him up. Yo! Thank you so much, Mastiff, for the sub. Welcome back to the harem. More offerings for the temple and the F4 Phantom Fund. We're so close, dude. All we'll have to do after that is just lay out the tarmac next to the Bass Pro Pyramid, and oh my god, we have our own Air Force.
So let's not play Crusader fanboy bingo. Instead, let's sum up the main points here. First, the Holy Grail is a literary phenomenon, not a biblical or historical one. And second, the real Crusades had nothing to do with the Holy Grail. Again,
it was all about taking Jerusalem. It was land.
See my free online class on the Holy Grail or the videos on my channel about it.
Okay, this is where he makes fun of Indiana Jones as a professor, and it's actually really funny.
I'm also a teacher. Those vocations don't always go together, but they pretty much do in the case of Indiana Jones. He's usually identified as an archaeologist, not specifically a historian, but there is a lot of overlap there. And he is a teacher. In Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, we visit his classroom, as we did in a very similar scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark, which heavily implies that a major reason why young women take his archaeology class is because they're not so secretly in love with him. In this chapter, I want to talk about Dr. Jones both as a historian.
See, that makes me laugh too, because like Professor Harrison Ford in this kind of looks like a dweeb.
In chapter 1, I love this movie.
He looks nerdy in his professor outfit. Like, there are some professors that just wear the professor fit and they look so fucking good, and then there's like kind of nerdy guys.
Bad at his job. To his credit, though, in the brief class,
and then all the women look like librarians.
He is teaching real
at least at like older ages.
What he's going over on the board.
The bullwhip to find the Grail? Not anytime soon. I don't care about Christian relics.
In the brief classroom scene
Sorry, I keep talking over the video.
He is teaching real archaeology. What he's going over on the board here refers to Mezcaltitlan Island.
It's Mezcaltitlan,
which is a small island off the coast of Santa Barbara, California. This island was home to the Chumash
Hey Herc,
people,
how's it going?
And in the 1920s, archaeologists did indeed do a lot of excavations here. So it's pretty accurate to show
the bow tie doesn't suit him. I agree. Surrounded by infill and is now part of the Santa Barbara proper. Damn. It's kind of wild that it used to be an island and then they just built land out to it.
Then there's the homework assignment.
You're not wrong, Tactical.
Class. Excavation of Naucratis, Flinders Petrie, 1885. Flinders Petrie was a British Egyptologist prominent in the late
Instead of the Grail, what would you like to find? A complete tomb of literally any ancient pharaoh.
In Egypt.
Like an actual complete tomb. Like gold covered everything and everything.
Flinders Petrie, who was a huge racist, by the way, and believed strongly in eugenics, trained a young student named Howard Carter, who went on to discover the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922.
Oh, speak of the devil.
So after this bit, we follow Dr. Jones to his office.
How many of those could still exist? If we're being completely honest, there could be an infinite amount of them. Because of the way that Egypt is, and like the way that everything that was once the Valley of the Kings is now like complete fucking desert. All it takes is for like sand to blow a different way, and suddenly you found an opening to a 3,000-year-old tomb. Like straight up. Like that they recently just found one, actually. I don't know, I didn't look into the condition of it, but I know that they found a straight up like tomb, and they found a massive gold covered sarcophagi at least, which is pretty incredible.
That is never identified.
A really big, strong vacuum cleaner should work. All that makes me think of is Spaceballs, where like they've got like the comb, and the guy is like, "Man, we ain't found shit." Like that's gonna be me, dude. Literally combing the desert.
Believe it's supposed to be Yale. In one of the novelizations of the Indiana Jones films, if I recall correctly, they said it's supposed to be in Connecticut. Yale is in Connecticut. We see this scene where Dr. Jones's office is mobbed by angry students, and his hassled secretary reminds him that term papers still haven't been graded, which is presumably what all these students are pissed off about. This is what's known in academia as office hours.
Do it every other like backlogged overworked professor does, and push it on a grad student.
Them and ask about pretty much anything. In real life, office hours are pretty lonely. It was rare and frankly a happy occasion when a student actually came to my office.
When we get the shovels, they come for free with your cult initiation package.
He talks a good game.
You should be getting like a pamphlet, a book of like incantations, a little like booklet on how to worship correctly, a small guide about 5 to 10 pages on how to properly preen me, how to another like small book. We're looking at like 5 books at least, on how to effectively remove major organs out of a human body. Then you should get the shovel, a ceremonial dagger, and a long cloak. Usually white. Sometimes different colors if you jump ahead, become a high priest.
In this scene, promising that he'll see each and every one of the students in turn, but then he does something inexcusable.
Haven't gotten that package yet. It sometimes gets intercepted by customs.
Appalling. I mean,
they don't like the dagger.
Jones, have some respect
or the pipe bomb materials.
I don't think they would have revoked his
or the radioactive background noise that comes with the package because I touched it.
but at least he should get a stern talking to by the head of his department, I guess that would be Marcus Brody, about taking students seriously.
Can I customize my cloak? You may.
Setting aside his performance on campus, the biggest gripe I have with the way Indiana Jones does his job is that he totally desecrates everything except the thing that he's looking for.
See, this is actually a great point I didn't think about.
Catacombs,
this is a great point.
Is an early Christian burial ground. I'll get to this in chapter 7. Jones is looking around for the tomb of a Crusader knight, but look at this. He grabs a skeleton out of one of those wall niches and uses its leg bone as a torch. I mean, that skeleton has been down here for hundreds of years. Who knows what it can tell us historically or archaeologically? But no, it's not what Dr. Jones happens to be looking for, so bam, it's expendable. Makes a great visual, and I suppose that it illustrates Jones's bull in a china shop approach, but this has got to be against some...
So Indy is just a newer version of the guy who blew up Troy. It's more like... I don't even know how to put it. It's like early Egyptologists, where it was like, yeah, we blew up the entire building and 3/4 of the things that came with it, but we got the sarcophagus out. And we sold the mummy. But we got the sarcophagus. We get to keep that. That goes to a museum back in Germany. What do you mean you wanted the mummy? We ground that up and consumed it. Oh. Like, that's kind of how Indiana Jones is. Like, he's like, that belongs in a museum. And then, like, wrecks 15 other things that also belong in a museum.
Jones also ends up destroying a lot of stuff he is looking for. He smashes right through the floor of the church/library in the X marks the spot scene. And even after he finds the knight whose tomb is the one he's looking for, one action scene later, it's destroyed for all time.
Completely destroyed.
And flooded. If this is the way he does his job, the world must be littered with burned out, collapsed piles of rubble that used to be robust and priceless archaeological sites, but which can now tell us next to nothing because, unfortunately, Indiana Jones was here. The characterization of Indiana Jones
that's a very good point. Hey,
Lorelai! A bit of a misfit. Kind of misplaced in academia, sort of.
I think you missed what the absolutely horrendous down bad thing I said earlier, and I'm really happy you missed that.
Adventurer the rest of the time. It's part of what makes
that would have
the
been
character
bad.
Endearing. But if you ever want to go into an academic discipline or teaching profession, please don't be like Dr. Jones. One last minor thing that I want to say on the subject of academia that doesn't fit nicely into any other chapter. One of my favorite jokes in the movie is when Indiana Jones says about his father, he's a professor of medieval literature.
You didn't post the Salt Lick one, did you?
I laugh out loud at this every time. However, most people who've been to college will tell you that students almost always get to choose their classes and their professors.
Every time.
Especially a topic as niche as medieval literature. Anyone who signed up for that class would know that Dr. Jones Sr. is teaching it. So it's not like high school where you got to take geometry and you really hope you don't get assigned to Mr. Calhoun's class.
Yeah,
yes,
really.
That was my high school geometry teacher.
Ooh, mushroom ravioli and steak. That sounds really nice. I'm jealous.
So it's a funny joke,
I had 2-day-old fried rice and Kroger chicken breast.
Special bonus, you get to see my Indiana Jones action figure from 1982. Not very many of these were produced. They're fairly rare.
I just want to say, some people might find that nerdy. I think this makes Sean even more endearing, and I think that's so fucking rad that he has literally extremely old, very rare Indiana Jones figurines, or action figures. That is so fucking sick.
But you can still find them. I still have them.
He looks like he's out of like an N64 game.
The opening sequence of the film, which is absolutely smashing on numerous levels, is identified on screen as taking place in Utah in the year 1912. Indiana Jones is a teenager. River Phoenix was 18 when he played the role in 1988. I'll talk more about the cross.
I've seen the material. No, that's bad for me.
We see it in the film. The spectacular location where this was filmed is Arches National Park near Moab, Utah. Though the town the Joneses live in is not specifically identified as Moab, I'm going to assume it is, or
actually though, Caesar,
someplace analogous. Home to various Native American tribes for thousands of years, the first American white settlers to come to Utah in any significant numbers were the Mormons.
The
Who were being
Mormons!
pushed farther west in the early to mid
The
19th
pajama
century by
god
religious
people!
bigotry, including several outright massacres. Utah was
Sick,
and is still
as
heavily
usual.
Mormon. It gained statehood in 1896, only 16
Hey, did you
years
steal my
before the
crown and
events
give it to
during the
Indiana
Lincoln
Jones? I'll
sequence.
hate you forever.
Statehood was delayed for a long time because Congress really didn't like the idea of making the adopted Mormon homeland a U.S. state. Arches National Park was not made
I'm so
a
happy.
national
Why have
park
you not
until
eaten meat for a month?
1926. It would, however, clearly have been a focus of tourist and outdoors interest even before the foundation of it as a park, and I could certainly see
Oh,
Boy Scouts
also, I
taking
meant
a field
to
trip
mention
there.
I'll be
The Boy
posting
Scouts
clip
were
times
founded
after
in
stream today. I know I've been
1910,
holding off
so
on it for a
Indiana
while.
Jones could
So
have
if anybody
been a
wants to
charter
get
member.
those and get
The
a
rank
special Discord
insignia
role if
on
you get enough
Jones's
of them,
uniform isn't
those are
clearly
up for
visible,
grabs.
but it
So.
looks like it might be the life rank, which is just one below Eagle
Oh
Scout.
God,
The
Lorelai,
first
I'm
person to
sorry.
become an
Did you?
Eagle
I hope you
Scout,
took it
Arthur
back.
Rose Eldred, achieved that rank in 1912.
With bite marks? No
Moab,
biting.
assuming that is the
No
town
biting
the
the
Joneses
crown.
live in, was founded as a settlement in 1878 by, you guessed it, Mormons, and was formally
Moab,
incorporated as a city.
the
in
mother of all
1902.
bombs.
I'm not going to quibble that the railroad line that was built through Utah Territory in 1883 did not pass through Moab, so Jones couldn't have gotten home from the future Arches National Park by riding a circus train. I'm just going to let that one go. But here's what I do find a little bit incongruous.
Where may I get
about
the
this
merch?
scene.
If you type exclamation
Dr.
point
Henry
merch,
Jones, Indiana
it should give you a
Jones'
link.
father, the Sean Connery character,
Caesar. If you get
you
it
don't see
now, it'll
his
pop up
face
on
until
screen,
later.
screen, and I can
He's
thank
a
you.
professor of medieval literature. Where is he on faculty? There were 5 universities in Utah in 1912. University of Utah, Southern
Mother of
Utah
all
University,
brats, you know I
called
did.
Branch Normal School at that time, 1912. Utah State, called
Or Mother of all
Agricultural
birds.
College in 1912. Utah Tech, which was then known as St. George Stake Academy, and Weber State, known as Weber Stake Academy. None of these schools are located anywhere near Moab or Arches National Park. Of these universities, a few of them taught only agricultural or other specific topics in 1912. Some of them didn't have humanities programs, and most of these were affiliated with or founded by the Mormon Church. So where among these limited options would a professor of medieval literature from Britain be teaching that subject?
Yeah,
Seems
that's
like
a good
kind of
point.
an arcane subject to find in the
Yeah, they're
far
over there with
west
like
of
animal
Utah.
husbandry,
suppose
like crop cultivation, almanac studies, uh, Mormon traditional pajama wear, and then you've got medieval literature with Dr. Jones.
Not impossible. My guess is that there's probably some fan-generated retcon headcanon out there somewhere that explains how the Jones family came to be living in Utah in 1912 and what Henry Sr. was doing there. I don't know.
The curse should
whatever
then
that
stay on the
retcon
object,
is.
I guess
I'm
theoretically.
only going to go on what the film shows us. Again, I'm going to keep making this point. These nitpicks really don't affect the power of this sequence or really diminish the movie. The whole opening is absolutely fantastic as a piece of filmmaking and storytelling. Notice that the film never explains who this guy is, the Panama hat guy, or what his history is with Jones. They don't have to explain it. You can get it just by seeing what they show us. It just works so beautifully. It's very economical from a story standpoint.
That is something
and
that
a
movies
wonderful
today
opener
miss
to the
out on
film.
a lot compared to old movies. You need to learn how to tell people things by showing. By showing. Like, that is so lost in movies these days.
Pattern of the character
If people don't get it, that's
He's
their
always
fault.
looking for something, trying to recover some specific artifact.
If you make it that
MacGuffin
obvious.
in storytelling terms. In this bit of the film, the MacGuffin is a jeweled crucifix called the Cross of Coronado. Jones, who even as a teenager knows a surprising lot about this kind of stuff, tells his friend that it was given to Coronado by Cortez in 1520. And of course, this is followed by the famous line, "It belongs in a museum." Let's unpack this very briefly. The Cross of Coronado is totally fictional. This is not a real artifact. The backstory given for it, though clever and communicated with admirable word economy, is extremely improbable. Francisco Vasquez de Coronado was a Spanish conquistador who led an expedition from 1540 to 1542 that explored what is now the American Southwest.
Show the gun in the first
Great
act,
Plains,
don't
and
soliloquize
part of
about it.
Mexico.
Exactly.
Coronado was searching appropriately enough for gold, the 7 cities of Cibola, famed in legend, which were supposed to have buildings made of gold and, gold paving the streets and that sort of thing. I guess that is a plausible enough explanation for how an artifact associated with him supposedly got to Utah. But here's the tell that it's fake. Cortez could not have given Coronado a jeweled cross or anything else in 1520. First of all, Coronado was about 10 years old in 1520. We think he was born about 1510 in Salamanca.
He's a little baby.
He didn't even go to New Spain, what's now Mexico, until 1535. Second, Cortez was already in the New World in 1520. He arrived on the island of Hispaniola in 1504, even before Coronado was born, and was there continuously until 1528. Did Cortez and Coronado know each other? I couldn't figure that out specifically.
Probably
in my
not.
research. My guess is that they probably met, but their lives and careers were pretty separate for the most part. Now, I haven't researched this super deeply, so I don't know for certain. I haven't really gone into a lot of sources on this. We do know that Cortez died in 1547 in Spain. Coronado died 7 years later in Mexico City. Coronado never found the 7 cities of Cibola, not surprising considering they never existed, at least not in the way that the Spaniards thought they did.
Well, thank you, Caesar. I hope you enjoy it.
Massacring huge
If you plan on getting the docky, I would hold off on the docky.
Called the Teguex War. His reputation
because it's getting
for cruelty,
updated.
even by the
If
standards
you type
of
exclamation
how
point
Spanish
docky, you can see the current one,
colonizers of the 16th century was pretty extreme.
But the new one is coming out probably
Cortez,
pretty
of
soon.
course, had this reputation also. Anyway, we don't need to dwell on this, but I thought it was worth mentioning
unless you want
that
both.
the object of Indiana Jones's first adventure is totally made up. There is no historical basis to the Cross of Coronado, though it is a pretty cool prop. Incidentally, the circus train where the fight with the Panama Hat guy's men occurs is the famous Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad in New Mexico, which I've ridden in real life. It was also featured in the 1992 film Unforgiven.
Thank you for the follow, Arctic Fist. Welcome to the cult. Hope you enjoy your stay.
And I am going to discuss some of the scenes in the film that occur there, but I'm also using it as kind of a catch-all for a bunch of stuff in this part of the film, from roughly the meeting between Jones and Donovan and the catacombs scene, which I'll talk about more in the next chapter. First, I absolutely love the set design here. Donovan's
it does become a collectible, you're right. I'm here to witness chaos. Well, I'm glad you're here to witness chaos.
Some rich guy in the late 30s.
There has been a lot of it today, so if you want to reverse a little bit, you'll catch a lot.
And Donovan's place reminds me a lot of the decor of some of the superliners of that era. For example, compare this set to one of the first-class spaces on the New Amsterdam, a Dutch liner that made her North Atlantic debut in 1938. The sandstone shield, which the characters refer to as the first marker, is a MacGuffin made up for the movie. I love
that
how
feels
Dr.
like
Jones
everything in this movie is a
identifies the
MacGuffin made up for the movie.
early Latin text, and in the next sentence says it's from the mid-12th century. That is definitely not early. Latin
That's
as
all
a
good,
spoken
Jadal.
language, though not dead, had already faded out mostly of common usage by the beginning of the Middle Ages, though of course it was still used by the church. I alluded to this earlier, but the bedtime story of the 3 French knights of the First
Never heard of
Crusade
it.
and
It's
their
an anime
adventures
body
with the Grail
pillow.
is not accurate. This purported medieval legend was apparently made up by the screenwriters. I'm not aware of a medieval text with that plot. And as I mentioned in chapter
I love the word
2,
MacGuffin.
most
Yeah, I don't know
Holy
where it
Grail
came from, but
stories
it's such a
involve
funny
King
word.
Arthur, and none directly involve the Crusades. Just for the record, King Arthur is usually said to have died in the mid-6th century, so we're talking the 530s and 540s. The Crusades didn't get rolling
That's
until
actually crazy
550
old.
years later. The plane in which Jones and Brody fly to Venice is shown as a DC-3 with special livery. Presumably, this is supposed to be a private plane owned by Walter Donovan. The DC-3, introduced in 1936, was flying, of course, in 1938. However, the journey that they show on screen with the moving red line is inaccurate. The DC-3 did not have the range to fly from Newfoundland to the Azores. They would have had to skip around.
He went this hard, dude.
The Atlantic Ocean, probably.
He researched how far the plane could fly.
The DC-3 is, however,
He's so
one
thorough.
of the
I love
coolest
it.
planes ever built. Although the last one, at least the last civilian version,
McGuffin sounds like great breakfast food. That's because it sounds like McMuffin. Hey, Alpha.
DC-3s still flying today in the 2020s. I mean, they're still around. It's pretty amazing.
I saw one in the
Finally,
Air and
we get
Space
to
Museum.
Venice.
They're pretty neat.
I'm intrigued by the way the characters in this picture treat Austria as a super dangerous infiltration mission going into the heart of the Third Reich, while at the same time they're very casual about Italy, which was a fascist country in 1938. Indeed, Italy had been fascist since 1922, when it was taken over by Mussolini in the March on Rome. Granted, Italy was not as repressive in a day-to-day sense as Germany was in this same period. The Italians, for example, did not persecute Jews in the same way that they were persecuted in Hitler's Germany. But Italy was fascist. In fact, here is a photo of Hitler meeting Mussolini.
See, that's what's kind of weird looking back at World War II, is that, like, Mussolini and Italy invented fascism, and then, like, paired up with Germany because Hitler, this is actually real, Hitler was a big fan and, like, would send Mussolini letters. And Mussolini was like, who is this guy? He's kind of an idiot. He's kind of crazy. I don't like him. And ignored him, like, in the 1930s. And then Hitler came to power, and then Mussolini was like, all right, I guess I have to deal with you now. And then it, like, flip-flopped towards the end of the war, which is, like, kind of wild when you think about it. But the whole time, like, Mussolini was like, yeah, like, nationalism and, like, bringing Italians together as a party. And then Hitler was like, here's some, like, paganistic cult shit, and I hate Jewish people. And Mussolini was like, what the fuck? like, don't get me wrong, the Italians did commit some horrendous, like, massacres. But, like, it was still nothing to that. So they were still just like, huh? What? Like...
1934. I don't know how much evidence a casual tourist would have seen of the fascist regime in Venice in 1938, like, you know, banners or something like that. I generally didn't see any in any of the photos that I looked at of Venice in the 1930s, which are pretty awesome, by the way, like these ones.
Those are some good-looking pictures.
But it might have been nice to have at least a nod, perhaps a short reference in dialogue to the fact that Italy was fascist in the 1930s, or maybe a mention of Mussolini. The library in the converted church is totally fictional. The structure shown in the film, at least the exterior, is the Church of San Barnaba in Venice. Though a church has stood on this site since the 800s, this particular structure was built in 1776, which accounts for why it looks a little less ancient than it probably should. I don't know why they chose to do
that
it
really
this
does
way,
look like colonial era.
Having it looks like a converted church in dialogue, except that maybe they found this location and liked it, but realized, yeah, it really does look like a church, because it is. Now, finally, we get to the Venice catacombs. This part of the movie is packed with history, most of it bad. For that reason, I'm going to start with some praise. Once they get into the church...
He said it's mostly terrible, so I'm going to start with a good thing.
This is a set, by the way. Were brought back as spoils of war from the sack of Byzantium during the Crusades. Kudos to Spielberg and the scriptwriters for mentioning this. She's talking about the Fourth Crusade, which I mentioned.
Comes from the film director Alfred Hitchcock. Really?
After the surrender of Jerusalem to Saladin in 1187, an event depicted
Saladin, the Chad,
in Ridley Scott's 2005 film Kingdom of Heaven.
Kingdom of Heaven mentioned! Hit the buzzer!
Knights and kings in Christendom, as well as the Pope, decided, predictably, that they had to do the whole thing over again, meaning another crusade to take back Jerusalem. During the previous 3 crusades, most, though not all, of the crusaders traveled overland from Europe to the Holy Land. In 1202, however, when the Fourth Crusade was proclaimed by Pope Innocent III, they decided to go primarily by sea. The Crusaders, many of them from France,
all it did was
didn't
deploy
have ships,
bats.
and
I like
the best
those.
place on the European continent to get them was from Venice, which was at that time a powerful city-state, sort of a country of its own. The Crusaders ran up a huge bill to get the Venetians to build ships for them. When they couldn't pay, the Venetians essentially repossessed the crusade. They said to the Crusaders, "We'll forgive part of your bill if you take the city of Zara for us, and if you put the Doge of Venice, the 80-year-old blind man,
The Doge!
Dandolo, in charge." The Crusaders essentially remained in hock to Venice. In search of loot to pay them back, they decided, screw Jerusalem, let's just sack Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, and the richest city in Europe at that time.
That's rough.
The sack of Constantinople in the Fourth Crusade was one of the most egregious war crimes in European history. The city was destroyed and rapaciously looted.
This down bad
erasing
clip may have
centuries
defeated
of
me,
cultural
really.
history, books, knowledge,
No, I get it.
art
It's pretty
treasures,
bad.
and other legacies of the Roman and Byzantine
That's why I didn't want to
empires.
say it at first.
Virtually anything valuable was stolen and carried off back to Venice. The most famous prizes
Even
were the
Lorelai
4
is getting
golden
flustered
horses
trying
that
to
used
draw it. That's
stand
crazy.
atop the front gate of the Hippodrome, the chariot racing track in Constantinople. More than 800 years later, those horses are still there at the Basilica of St. Mark's, though the ones on top of the building are replicas. The real ones were moved indoors to the basement to prevent
Those must be
continued
so cool to
exposure
see.
to air pollution. So if you go to Venice and see the amazing art treasures there, particularly those in St. Mark's, you will be looking mostly at loot stolen
I can
from
draw it, but you may not like what
Neither
happens.
Venice
Just
nor
DM
any
it to
of
me
the
first.
successor states that have controlled its territory,
Before
including
publicly
the modern
releasing
country of
it.
Italy, have even entertained the idea of repatriating these stolen artifacts back to their country of origin, which today would be Turkey. Though in 2001, 797 years after the Fourth Crusade, the Pope did officially apologize for it. Anyway, don't
Oiled
get me
up with
started on
butter,
that.
yeah,
Suffice it to say, I'm
So?
glad the Crusade and the true origin of most of Venice's treasure was referenced in this film. Let's move on. After the
Moving
X
on.
marks the spot joke, Jones and Ilsa break through the floor and wind up in the catacombs. Curiously
That is also a
easy to
thick
find.
ass floor to break
You'd
through.
think that whoever built the library in 1776 would have noticed these tunnels right underneath the interior floor of the foundation.
Yeah, they literally put it like right
they
above
quickly
it.
discover what they call pagan symbols 4th or 5th century, 600 years before the Crusades. According to legend, Venice was founded on March 25th in the year 421 as a trading post on several islands in the lagoon. It was founded as a Christian city. Before that time, there wasn't much happening
The
in
Salt
Venice,
Lick
though
incident?
apparently
Oh,
it
great.
was.
So we have the
islands
Salt
were
Lick
used by
incident
fishermen. While I
and
haven't
the
done a deep
cheese
dive on
slice
this,
incident.
It doesn't
Great.
appear that there was a sizable community on this spot before 421, 5th century, pagan or otherwise. That period was just before the fall of the Western Roman
Man-ass!
Empire,
A
which
whole lot of
collapsed in
man-ass!
476. And most of the early families who came to Venice were refugees from the invasions of various Germanic tribes that were ravaging the
See, look,
Western
that guy was
Empire
even
at the
pointing towards it. He was
time.
like, oh, man
In fact,
ass.
the whole reason a settlement was put here was because the lagoon acted as a sort of moat, which made the city very difficult to attack. The potential attackers were, more often than not, pagans, not Christians, so Venice was built in large part to get away from pagans. If the film is suggesting that the site is sort of layered, a kind of pre-Christian
I remember the
settlement that
cheese
was
keeney.
later
We don't talk about the
appropriated
cheese keeney.
by Christian communities, which is what it sounds like when Ilsa talks about Christians digging their own passages and burial chambers centuries later. That didn't happen. Venice was Christian pretty much from the get-go, so far as I understand. Furthermore, let's just get the elephant in the room out of the way here. This sequence totally ignores the physical reality of how Venice works.
Also, yeah, I always thought about that. Like, if they busted the floor, like, would it just be water?
Infrastructure in Venice because it's built on water.
Yeah, it's built on water.
There originally were islands in the lagoon. Most of Venice is built on pilings, tree trunks, over 10 million of them, sunk into the shallow mud of the lagoon.
That's crazy.
The unique chemical composition of the water and the mud, and the tides that essentially empty out and replenish the waters of the lagoon twice a day.
Do I have to look in your YouTube shorts? I don't know if it's in there.
Basically petrified. They won't rot even over
You can
centuries.
find in the Discord for sure.
On top of those trunks, which go down about 25 meters, by the way, there are layers of thick planks, then flat stones, and finally the foundation walls upon which the rest of the buildings of Venice are constructed.
Interesting.
So the idea that somebody dug these burial chambers into the ground as if it was on dry land is simply ludicrous. If you go down even a small distance from ground level in Venice, you're going to find pilings, and below that, mud. This whole thing, this whole setup cannot exist in the real world. Incidentally, you can get a lot of wrong ideas about how Venice works from watching movies. The 2006 James Bond film Casino Royale also presents a highly misleading picture of Venetian engineering, suggesting that the buildings literally float. In that film's climax, one building collapses when large floats located in the basement are ruptured. Sorry guys, but no, Venice doesn't really float. To the extent that today people talk about Venice quote-unquote sinking, they don't mean that exactly literally, that the city floats on the surface of the water. What it means is that because of man-made global warming, sea level will be rising precipitously in this century, and that Venice is going to have to be totally re-engineered or abandoned. We don't have time to get into that. Getting back to Indiana Jones, we've got another improbable thing going on here. Oil sloshing around in the water. As Jones says, he should sink a well down here and retire. Totally not true. Italy does have some small oil reserves, but oil fields in Italian territory are mostly in the southern Apennine Mountains or offshore. Venice doesn't have oil, especially not so close to the surface. If it did, it would have become a major petroleum center in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The easier it is to get at oil...
It needs to be more like the Netherlands to not sink. No, what he's saying is that it's like built on mud. So like a bunch of like unstable mud. So like instead of sinking into water like everyone thinks it will, it's more like it'll sink just into mud. Like it's built on a poor foundation. It's like building a house on sand. So like eventually it'll hit the point to where it'll literally just sink into piles of mud, like, and become subterranean, is what he's saying.
That it would have been exploited.
Will water occasionally be over it? Yeah, but it's mostly going to sink into mud.
Pennsylvania, where
think of like building a swamp
bubbled to the surface. So while in the story, in this film, I guess they needed the petroleum to turn the waterlogged catacombs into a flaming death trap for Indiana Jones to escape, in reality, there's no oil in Venice. Finally, last bit I'm going to pick on. The discovery of the remains of Sir Richard, a supposed knight of the First Crusade, in this Venice tomb is a great clue to encounter from a story standpoint, and it's done extremely well. But it doesn't make a whole lot of historical sense. Even if you grant the film's premise,
is the Netherlands in a swamp?
First Crusade going
I thought it was just below sea level.
Rail, it's a little far-fetched that he would have wound up in Venice. The routes taken by the major bands of crusaders during the First Crusade of 1096 to 99 traveled overland, mostly through Central and Eastern Europe.
Yo!
Some apparently did cross.
Welcome. Fuck your great intro. Hi everyone, my name's Hara Rae Sol, an Egyptian peregrine sun goddess. I do War Thunder variety and history streams, and Can is a giant bitch.
Well,
back to the video.
Spring cleaning.
Ow! Wow. I hate you.
Through Italy, but not Venice, which was
But
kind of
welcome in, everyone. How you doing?
Assuming that most crusaders returned
Thank you for the raid,
from
Ken. What were you
Holy Land
doing?
on
How was your
roughly the
stream?
same routes they took to get there, they are
You
real
love us?
likely to have gone
Sometimes.
through
Great
Venice.
success.
Venice indeed did not become prominent in the history of the Crusades until the fourth one, which began in 1202. See, we're getting back to that, a century after the events proposed by this movie. Again, we're talking about a totally fictional
Oh, that
thing
sounds
here,
really cool.
because the bedtime story of the
Wasn't
three
expecting the
Crusaders going after the Holy
fast
Grail
food
is
smash,
completely
yeah.
made up. Okay,
There's
I
a
think
lot
I've
of
beaten
insanity
this
that goes
part of
on
the
with this
movie
stream.
pretty much to death. Let's move on and pop back into the 20th century.
Okay. So, I do hate to do it, especially seeing as how Can just rated, but I do have work tomorrow, so we're probably gonna have to end it here, friends. Okay, so we're gonna go find somebody to raid out to real quick. I'm so sorry, friends. But I hope you guys had a good time. Had a really good history night. I thought it was a lot of fun. We'll be back on Saturday at 8 p.m. CST for Fallout New Vegas. So let me see if we can raid real quick, and I'll raid you guys out, and then I'll see you guys on Saturday. If you guys want to check me out until then, I do have a YouTube. That's who I'm partially streaming to right now. You can check it out for shorts. One came out today. One will be coming out on Friday, I think. So yeah, if you want to catch me until then as well, you can catch me out on Twitter or Discord. So I'm gonna raid Yari. Yari deserves your patronage. She's great. She's awesome. She's just, what is she just chatting to? Oh, she's looking at Nintendo Direct, and then she's playing War Thunder. _sun. Alrighty. So you guys have fun with Yari. I will see you guys on Saturday at 8 p.m. CST. And hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Bye, friends. Bye-bye. Love you bunches.